Chapter 4460. Xueqi used the profound ice arts to resist it. At the same time, the bloodline hidden in her body erupted. Even so, it was still very painful. Lin Xian was naturally able to sense how terrifying the black frost was. He unleashed the 9 suns' divine fire to resist it. At the same time, he pushed it far away, his eyes flickering. On the other side, a soul floated out. Its soul light was already very dim. It was obvious that it would soon disappear. She looked ahead and sighed as well. Was it a little too much? Could it be that the 9 Yin inheritance couldn't be continued? Lin Xian asked. Senior, you chanted a chant before, 9 Yin and 9 Yang. Which one is stronger and which one is weaker? When Yin and Yang coexist, one will become the emperor of the world. Was there really someone who could fuse the 9 Yin and 9 Yang? The soul sighed. I don't know. That was just a chant passed down from ancient times. I don't know whether there really was someone who managed to fuse the two. However, I can tell you something. When the 9 Yang divine body reached great mastery, it would be comparable to a great emperor. It was the same for the 9 Yin body. In the ancient times, someone obtained 2 inheritances and wanted to fuse them together. However, he went crazy. In the ancient times, someone obtained 2 inheritances. This time he didn't cultivate them. Instead, he comprehended them from the 2 inheritances. He managed to cultivate the Tao of Yin and Yang and became a Yin-Yang great emperor. In the endless years, several great emperors appeared. There were the 9 Yang divine body and the 9 Yin body. However, it was too difficult to fuse the 2 together. However, if one managed to fuse them together, one's physique would become extremely powerful. My guess is that it wouldn't be weaker than the Crown Prince's physique. Is the Crown Prince really that powerful? Lin Xian was surprised. Of course. That's because you haven't heard of how powerful the great emperors are. The descendants of the great emperors have the same bloodline as the great emperors. Moreover, they are the first generation. When those people grow up, they will become extremely heaven-defying. Of course, none of them will be able to become a great emperor again. This was because the bloodline in their bodies was their greatest help, but it was also their greatest restriction. Even so, they were still supreme existences that could sweep through the universe. Although the 9 Yang divine body was powerful, it could only be ranked 11th in the myriad heavens rankings. The 9 Yang divine body was only ranked 11th. Lin Xian was completely stunned. That soul had said that it was right, because the top 10 all had the physique of an imperial prince. What about the 9 Yin body? Lin Xian asked. According to the soul, the 9 Yin body was ranked 12th. However, she coldly snorted. This was only because there were less descendants of the 9 Yin body than the 9 Yang divine body. Otherwise, how could the 9 Yang divine body be ranked below the 9 Yang divine body? Upon hearing this, Lin Xian smiled awkwardly. It seemed that the battle between the 2 godly bodies had been quite fierce. Lin Xian already knew that there were clans of the ancients and monarch clans. He had even seen many extreme weapons. However, he had never seen the real emperor's son before. However, thinking about it, there must be some on the buried emperor star. He was really looking forward to having a battle with such a person. The soul looked at Lin Xian and said, Brat, don't think that you can be arrogant just because the 9 Yang divine body is ranked 11th. That was referring to the 9 Yang divine body that had reached large success. There were many descendants of godly bodies that were killed before they could fully mature. Therefore, you should try to keep a low profile in the future. I know. Lin Xian nodded. At this moment, Xueqi suddenly roared. Immediately after, she spat out a mouthful of blood and her body was covered in black frost. Her body fell backwards. Seeing this scene, the soul cried out in alarm. Not good, am I going to fail? Lin Xian took a step forward and caught the falling body. He felt an extremely terrifying ice-cold energy coming from his hands, as if it wanted to completely freeze him. What should he do? Lin Xian looked at the soul. There's no other way. It seems that it's too difficult. However, she was still persevering, unwilling to give up. If she died like this, it was only a matter of time. Lin Xian sighed. Is there no other way? The soul suddenly sneered coldly. There's a way, but I'll give you another opportunity. As he spoke, he waved his hand and shot out a dense fog that engulfed Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt dizzy, and his divine awareness became fuzzy again. Damn it! Is this old thing using this kind of technique on me again? Lin Xian could already guess what was going to happen next. However, he was already unable to resist anymore. Qi felt that she was extremely cold, as if she was going to be frozen by 10,000 years old ice. As a genius of the ice element, she was never afraid of ice. However, this time she was really afraid. It seemed as if the ice wanted to seal her soul in ice. Suddenly, she felt a warm feeling coming from behind her. It was as if a sun had fallen into a snowy mountain. It allowed her to find hope. She grabbed the sun and didn't let it go. Looking at the scene before her, Soul smiled. She rushed out of the cave and said, I wonder if my method will work. However, this was her last chance. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The people who had entered Mount Han also quickly retreated. A month had already passed. In the land of Mount Han, a storm had begun to blow, freezing everything. The Saint Kings couldn't stay any longer. They could only retreat. This time, every grotto heaven and clan had suffered losses. Of course, there were also gains. Many people had obtained spirit fruits and all kinds of opportunities. Their strength had increased greatly. As for their companions, many of them had also perished in there. The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven gathered outside. Their faces turned ugly. This time young Master Ling Tian was seriously injured and poisoned. It seemed that he was in imminent danger. After they came out, they immediately left. They had to ask the Supreme Elder for help. Fu Hongya followed them expressionlessly. However, he was relieved because he was no longer under the control of the life and death curse. He went back to get more resources. On the other side, Yin Su and the others came out of Green Hill Paradise. Meng Hao and the others also came out of Vast Paradise with smiles on their faces. They had also gained some gains. It seemed that they would have to go into seclusion for a while. The others did the same. On the other hand, the people of Thousand Mountain Paradise were frowning. They had been happy for a while when young Master Ling Tian was injured. Now, they could finally give Violet Spirit Paradise a blow. However, they soon realized that something was wrong. Yan Jiao and Qi hadn't come out yet. Not only that, but Elder Jin Feng also hadn't come out. He was a Saint King. What was going on? Could it be that something dangerous had happened? They were extremely anxious. The identities of these two people were not ordinary. Let's wait patiently. Perhaps something has delayed them. The Heavenly Strategy Elder said in a deep voice. The people of Thousand Mountain Paradise waited here. Chapter 4461. At the same time, in the endless mountains of Thousand Mountain Grotto, there was a floating palace. This was the core area of Thousand Mountain Grotto. Ordinary people could not come here, because this was the place where the Supreme Elder was in charge. At this moment, the Supreme Elder in the palace suddenly opened his eyes and let out a crazy roar. Above the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of space collapsed, and the stars in the sky dimmed. The entire Thousand Mountain Cave was shaking violently. What happened? Everyone in Thousand Mountain Grotto was stunned. The elders all flew into the sky and looked into the distance. It was the Sagely Heaven's old ancestor who was angry. Song Tinya, who provoked this living fossil. The Sagely Heaven's old ancestor was one of the Supreme Elders. He was so strong that he had reached the Great Sage Realm. Such a person was extremely terrifying. Normally, no one would dare to provoke him. Even the Mansion Master of Thousand Mountain Grotto would not dare to be presumptuous in front of him. Now that he was angry, it was really surprising. At this moment, countless streams of light streaked across the sky. The leader was a middle-aged man. He asked nervously, "Father, what happened? Is there a problem with your cultivation?" This person was the sagely heaven's old ancestor's son, Yen Josie's father. His name was Elder Yenmo. An old voice came from the palace, filled with endless anger. "Jiu, Oi's soul jade tablet was broken. He has fallen. Investigate this matter for me. I don't care who did it. I want to destroy his soul and spirit. I will not let go of anyone related to him." What? Hearing this, Elder Yenmo was instantly stunned. His son had been killed? How could this be? His eyes instantly turned red. The surrounding people also knelt on the ground. "Old ancestor, please calm down. We will go investigate now. Follow me." With a roar, Yenmo rushed out with his men. In the next moment, everyone in Thousand Mountain Grotto knew about it. Furthermore, the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto gathered into countless groups and charged towards Mount Han. In Mount Han, at this moment, the two Grotto Heavens and the ancient race had all left. The only ones left were the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto. At this moment, these people were extremely anxious. Several days had already passed, and the power of Mount Han had become incomparably cold. Those people should have come out long ago. Why was Yen Jiao and Xue Qi still nowhere to be seen? Could it be that they had all died? That's impossible. The heavenly strategy elder shook his head. Both of them had Saint King weapons. Even if they couldn't defeat a Saint King, they could at least protect themselves. It was impossible for him to have died in there. The others were also puzzled. At this moment, they suddenly looked up at the sky. Countless figures appeared in the sky. They were like gods and demons. Their powerful auras caused the snow mountain below to crumble. What a terrifying team of saints! Is someone going to attack this place? The people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven went crazy. They felt as if they were facing a great enemy. A moment later, they sensed that these people were from the Thousand Mountain Grotto, which caused them to be even more confused. What's going on? Why are there so many people? Tian Su and the others took the lead and flew up. They discovered that the one leading the team was the Yen Mo. He hurriedly cupped his fists and asked, "What happened?" "You still have the face to ask me?" Elder Yen Mo roared out in rage. The aura on his body was incomparably terrifying as he dashed forward. The heavenly strategy elder's pupils constricted. He shot out a ray of light to block the attack. In the next moment, he was forced back. The people around him also vomited blood. What's going on? Is this guy crazy? The heavenly strategy elder was also furious. Yen Mo, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because your father is the supreme elder. I'm also an elder of the Thousand Mountain Grotto. What right do you have to attack me? The other Saint Kings were also puzzled. That's right, Elder Yenmo. Is there a misunderstanding? We've never offended you. Yenmo's eyes were red. You've never offended me? My son, Yenjiu, is already dead in there. How did you protect him? If you can't find the enemy, you'll all die. What? The Earth Saint King and the others were stunned. The heavenly strategies elder's eyes also narrowed. Cold sweat immediately flowed down his face. Although he was furious earlier, if Yen Jiu was really dead, the situation was not good. Yen Mo was not the only one who was furious. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor was furious too. He was a supreme saint. How were they going to explain themselves when they returned? It was impossible. Yen Jiu had a Saint King weapon and a rune mark left behind by the Holy Heaven's old ancestor. Even if he met a powerful enemy, he should be able to survive. The other Saint Kings were also puzzled. Who was so powerful that they dared to kill Yenjiu? The heavenly strategy elder also walked up and said, Yenmo, we don't know what's going on either. When we were inside, we suddenly realized that the land of Mount Han had become terrifying. It was as if it was going to freeze everything again, so we retreated. When we came out, we realized that Yenjiu and Princess Xue Qi were not there, so we waited here. We thought that the two of them were delayed by something. We did not expect Yanjiu to be dead. The people around them were also stunned. Princess Xueqi was not there either? Oh my heavens! If Yanjiu had died in there, the other old ancestor would be furious too. When that happened, how would the 1,000 mountain grottos shake? They did not dare to imagine. Yan Mo said, I don't care what excuses you have. Wait for your punishment when you return. Now, everyone, follow me into Mount Han. He roared, and the group of saints behind him flew into the air. They formed a terrifying formation and charged into the land of Mount Han. At the same time, a group stayed behind to watch over the Heavenly Strategy Elder and the others. What should we do? The Earth Saint King asked. The Heavenly Strategy Elder's face turned ugly. What could he do? He could only wait. He had to admit that the group led by Yan Mo this time was too powerful. Even though Mount Han had become so terrifying, they still charged into the land of Mount Han. However, at this moment, the land of Mount Han was already covered in snow. It was impossible to search. Moreover, they did not know where Yanjiu had died. They could only search aimlessly. Just like that, another 5 days passed. Yan Mo and the others still had not returned. Outside, the Heavenly Strategy Elder and the others' faces turned even uglier. During these days, they carefully recalled the whole incident and realized that their situation was very bad. Yanjiu had died. As the elders who led the group, it would be difficult for them to escape. The group that was guarding them was led by an elder. They said, Tian Su, you're really wrong this time. Don't you know Yanjiu and Xueqi's identities? You did not follow them. Let's see how you are going to explain yourself when you return. This time, Yanjiu has died. I guess you will be punished severely. Moreover, Princess Xueqi has not returned. If she has died, you will die. The Heavenly Strategy Elder's face was extremely gloomy. The great Emperor, Holy King, and the others also had ugly expressions. Chapter 4462. As night fell, the wind and snow continued to fall. The power of Mount Han was extremely terrifying. Even the moon could not be seen in the sky. It was extremely dark all around. At this moment, Elder Tian seemed to have made a decision. He roared and suddenly attacked. He attacked the elder of the team and sent him flying. Then he roared, Why are you still not attacking? Are you waiting to die? The Earth Saint King and the others were stunned at first. Then they said, Let's attack. We will die if we go back. Now was the best time to escape. When the 1,000 mountain cave came, there were 7 Saint Kings. Other than Elder Jin Feng, who had died, there were 6 left. At this moment, the 6 of them attacked together and were extremely powerful. Damn it! How dare you attack? Do you want to betray the 1,000 mountain cave? The elder of the team roared crazily. Elder Tian Su and the others said, Sorry, we don't want to die. We don't want to go back and suffer. Let us go and we won't kill you. After that, their attacks became even more terrifying. A long sword appeared in Elder Tian Su's hand. It was tens of thousands of miles long. With a slash of the sword, the mountains and rivers were all shattered. The Earth Saint King roared angrily. Thousands of miles of land collapsed, forming countless rock giants. They charged out crazily. The 6 of them attacked crazily. They did not hold back at all. However, in the end, 2 of them were caught. Elder Tian Su, the Earth Saint King, and the other 3 escaped. Damn it! The leading elder shouted angrily. At the same time, he took out the array and sent a voice transmission. In Mount Han, Yan Mo got the news of the array and was instantly furious. How dare they escape? Men, catch them! He sent out 2 more teams to kill their way out of Mount Han to pursue the Heavenly Strategies Elder and the others. As for him, he continued to lead people to search for them in Mount Han, in the Great Snow Mountain. In an ancient cave residence, Lin Xian opened his eyes. In the next moment, when he saw the scene in front of him, he was stunned. At this moment, Xue-Qi also opened her eyes. She seemed to have had a very long dream. In the dream, she was surrounded by the sun and ice. However, when she opened her eyes and saw the scene in front of her, she was also stunned. In the next moment, she was stunned and her face instantly turned red. Lin Xian stood up and said, "I'll go out first." After saying that, he walked out of the cave and let out a long breath. "What do you think? Did he succeed?" At this moment, a weak voice sounded. Lin Xian turned his head and saw that it was the soul. He wanted to get angry, but he found that the soul had become extremely weak. It looked like it would dissipate at any moment. He sighed. He should have succeeded, right? Let her come out and let me take a look. My soul is incomparably excited. Her greatest wish was for the succession of the 9 Yin tribe to be passed down. After a short while, Xue-Qi came out. Her face was still flushed. When she saw the soul, she was also stunned. The soul asked, "Did he really obtain the inheritance?" Xue-Qi nodded and thanked him. "Good. The heavens have not forsaken me. I must continue to bring the 9 Yin inheritance to greater heights." That soul grew darker and darker until it finally dissipated. Xue-Qi knelt down and kowtowed 3 times respectfully. "Senior, please don't worry. I won't let down the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance." Lin Xian also bowed deeply. Because of what the soul had done, the information about the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance had appeared in his mind. This meant that as long as he wanted to, he could also cultivate the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance. Of course, it was too dangerous to fuse the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance with the 9 Yang tribe's inheritance. Xue-Qi stood up and looked at Lin Xian. She didn't know what to say. Lin Xian took a deep breath and said, "I don't know how much time has passed, but I think we should quickly leave." "Are you going to leave?" Xue-Qi asked. Her eyes were filled with disappointment. This guy has already done such a thing. Shouldn't he say something? Lin Xian said, "I don't plan to leave for the time being. I want to continue staying in the 1,000 Mountain Paradise." Xue-Qi raised her head and hope appeared in her eyes. However, she quickly asked, "Aren't you afraid that I will reveal your secret? I've seen what you've done before." "I don't think you will." Lin Xian revealed a smile. Xue-Qi's face became even redder. She really wouldn't reveal it, as she was now his woman. However, this damned fellow, why didn't he mention this matter at all? "Let's go." Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Let's go." Xue-Qi nodded and revealed a gentle look. If other people were here, they would surely be startled. Is this still the same Ice Mountain Fairy? The two of them left the snowy mountain. Xue-Qi had already comprehended the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance, and she shot out a black frost, which caused a crack to appear on the snowy mountain. The two of them then left. After they left, Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He discovered that the whole Mount Han had become even more terrifying than before. He must quickly leave. He guessed that this was related to Xue-Qi obtaining the 9 Yin tribe's inheritance. The whole Mount Han would probably be sealed in ice. After they walked for 2 days, they suddenly discovered some people in front of them. The two of them became alert, but Xue-Qi was taken aback. She said that it was the Paradise's people. She took out her badge and released the 1,000 Mountain Phantom. The people in front of them exclaimed in surprise, "That's our 1,000 Mountain Paradise's badge." A group of people instantly flew over. They were led by 3 Saint Kings. When they saw Xue-Qi and Lin Xian, they heaved a sigh of relief. "Princess Xue-Qi, it's great that nothing happened to you." Xue-Qi regained her ice-cold appearance. She nodded and asked, "What happened? Why did you all come here?" "The Saint Kings that came here before didn't have such people." Lin Xian didn't say anything. After all, he didn't want to reveal his identity yet. The 3 Saint Kings said, "Don't you know? 9th young master Yen died, and the holy heaven's old ancestor showed his might. Elder Yen Mo brought countless teams of saints to search for him." Upon hearing this, Xue-Qi's pupils contracted. Did they already know? Could it be that the matter was about to be discovered? However, at this moment, Lin Xian shook his head and told her to calm down. When he attacked, only Xueqi knew about it. No one else knew about it. As for the Great Saint's seal, it was destroyed by him before it could even appear. The other party surely didn't know about it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been searching for him so aimlessly. Yan Jiu was unexpectedly killed. Who killed him? Xueqi also calmed down. She said, I also don't know. I was also trapped for the past few days, and it took me great effort to come out. Let's go. Yes. The 3 Saint Kings led their teams and protected Xueqi. They quickly brought Xueqi and Lin Xian and left. When they came out, they heaved a sigh of relief. They discovered that there were still 2 teams here. Where are the others? Did they all go back? Xueqi asked. The Heavenly Strategies Elder and his companions have already escaped. They even injured our 1,000 Mountain Paradises members. We have already sent people to hunt them down. How did this happen? Xueqi was taken aback, but she quickly understood. Since Yanjiu had died, the elders who led the teams would surely be punished severely. The Heavenly Strategies Elder and his companions wanted to live, so they seized the opportunity to escape. Chapter 4463. After this, Xueqi and Lin Xian rested here. During this time, Xueqi transmitted her voice to him. Do you really not want to leave? If you leave now, I will create an opportunity for you. You should quickly leave. Xueqi was quite worried. After all, his grandfather was a great sage. Lin Xian shook his head and transmitted his voice to her. I won't leave for now. This is because I still have many things to do. I still have to kill people. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Xueqi fell silent. Since he had been suppressed and turned into a battle servant, his friends must have suffered the same fate. Thinking about it, Lin Xian would definitely make a move on the grotto heaven. If it had been in the past, she would have immediately suppressed or killed such a person. However, Xueqi wouldn't attack him now. After all, she was already his subordinate. She was quite conflicted, and she didn't know what she should do. After waiting for 2 days, Xueqi said, Elder Yan Mo still hasn't come back. I want to go back first. I am quite tired, and we have already escorted you back. After a short while, 2 teams escorted the 2 of them back to the 1,000 Mountain Paradise. On the way back, they ran into some other teams, which were sent by Black Ice Ancestor. Black Ice Ancestor was Xueqi's grandfather, and he was also a supreme elder. After he learned about Yanjiu, he was worried that Xueqi would be in danger. This was why he sent people to receive her. When they saw that Xueqi was fine, they heaved a sigh of relief. After this, the 2 of them returned to the 1,000 Mountain Paradise and started their secluded cultivation. Xueqi's harvest this time was the greatest. She had obtained the 9 Yin inheritance, which was a peerless inheritance. As long as she didn't die, she would surely become one of the few peerless experts in the starry sky. Lin Xian had also obtained great harvests. In the snowy mountain, he had obtained several hundred spirit herbs. At the same time, his great dragon sword soul's might had increased. More importantly, he had also obtained the 9 Yin inheritance. Therefore, while he was in seclusion, Lin Xian had been exploring and researching whether he should cultivate the 9 Yin legacy. He had discovered that the 9 Yin inheritance and the 9 Yang divine body were 2 completely different types of cultivation. The 9 Yang divine body required boundless flames, while the 9 Yin inheritance required boundless ice. Lin Xian had also cultivated the law of death and the law of sun, 2 completely opposite laws. However, 2 types of divine bodies were much more terrifying than 2 types of laws. The slightest carelessness might cause one to go berserk. He shook his head and decided not to cultivate for the time being. After all, the 9 Yang divine body was a terrifying physique to begin with. As long as it was cultivated to the great perfection stage, it would be comparable to a great emperor. Lin Xian was still doing his best to improve his 9-yang divine body. On the other side, Xueqi had completely consolidated her 9-yin body. The following cultivation would be more complicated and tedious. It was not something that could be completed overnight, so she did not need to be anxious. On one hand, she sent people to search for countless precious pieces of ice. At the same time, she also walked out of the palace and looked at the pagoda in the distance with sparkling eyes. What was this guy doing? Naturally, she was thinking about Lin Xian. Xueqi felt like she was in a dream, and her soul wasn't clear. However, she also knew that the sun she felt in her dream back then was probably Lin Xian. Therefore, she could guess what happened next. She had been unable to complete the 9-yin inheritance, but Lin Xian had helped her. Moreover, it was Lin Xian who had helped her detoxify the poison that she had been poisoned with. As the granddaughter of a supreme elder and a top genius of the paradise, Xueqi had always wondered what her husband would be like. He would definitely be a peerless expert, a supreme existence that could sweep away everything. She had not even seen any of the paradise's geniuses. In her opinion, only the Misty Peak's geniuses were worthy of her. However, Lin Xian's appearance changed her mind. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he displayed a powerful array formation. Although his identity was that of a battle servant, his attainments and formations were something that even she was greatly astonished by. Later on, in order to help her stop the Sage King, Lin Xian had taken the initiative to stay behind, risking his life so that she could escape. Xueqi was very touched. In the end, he had helped her detoxify the poison and obtain the 9-yin body. He had completely won her heart. In this life, she had already decided that Lin Xian was her husband. She would never think of a second person. However, she sighed. She also knew that with her status, her father and grandfather would definitely not agree to tell anyone about this matter. Furthermore, Lin Xian would probably attack the Grotto Heaven as well. Given the other party's talent, as long as he was given time, he would be able to mature very quickly. Once he grew, would he start a war with her? She had no idea. On the other side, Elder Yan Mo had also returned. Because the land of Mount Han had been completely frozen, they had not found the place where Yan Jiu had died. In fact, they did not even get any news. Especially when Yan Mo learned that Xueqi had returned safely, his expression became even uglier. Was his son the only one who had died in there? How hateful! In the end, he met 2 people. He found them very suspicious, but he did not dare to say anything, because these 2 people were from the Misty Peak. The 2 geniuses of the Misty Peak left directly, and no one dared to stop them. As for Yan Mo, he returned to the 1,000-mountain paradise with his people. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor came forward to inquire, but he did not find anything. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor was furious. He personally went to Mount Han and killed his way in. In the end, he returned 3 days later. His expression became even colder. The people around him did not dare to say anything. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor had returned without finding anything. Mount Han was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Xueqi naturally knew that the Holy Heaven's old ancestor was powerful, but Mount Han had the 9-yin inheritance. Although she had obtained the inheritance, the aura that had been left behind was not something that a great saint could resist once it was released. Most likely, no one would be able to enter that place. As expected, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor's expression was ugly. Yan Mo walked in. Temperature, father, what should we do? We have no clue at all. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's expression was gloomy. When Zhou used the soul imprint that I gave him, it was instantly penetrated. I sensed a trace of the light of reincarnation. What? The light of reincarnation? Yan Mo was stunned, and his expression became one of horror. Their heavenly Grotto Heaven did not deserve the light of reincarnation. Only the Misty Peak had it. Could it be that the Misty Peak's people had done it? Damn it, in the end we met 2 people from the Misty Peak, but we did not dare to make a move. If we had known, we would have taken them down. Nonsense! Don't you know what kind of existence the Misty Peak is? Don't act rashly. Let your younger brother go and check it out. He should be able to find out something from the Misty Peak. At least, he should be able to find out the identities of the 2 people who had gone to Mount Han. Chapter 4464. The ethereal peak was above their grotto heavens. However, many of their grotto heavens were also in the ethereal peak. For example, there were a few from the holy heaven's old ancestors' line in the ethereal peak. In fact, it wasn't just him. There were also people from Xueqi's line in the ethereal peak. It was the same for the other grotto heavens. It could be said that the relationship between the grotto heavens and the ethereal peak was very close. There were also people from the holy King Xing, Chen's line, in the ethereal peak. This was probably something that even Lin Xian didn't know. The ethereal peak. It was surrounded by mountains and empty valleys. The mountains were very steep. There was a mountain at the top of the clouds with a mysterious aura. This was the ethereal peak, a terrifying existence that was above the grotto heavens. In fact, in the hearts of countless grotto heavens, this was the true cultivation paradise. However, the ethereal peak was very strict in recruiting disciples. Most of the grotto heavens were peerless geniuses who entered through the assessment or recommendation. Only a few geniuses from the outside world entered directly. In the night sky, 2 figures flew past in an instant. They flew directly towards the ethereal peak. These 2 figures were riding on a huge gourd. They were as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, they shuttled through the void and arrived in front of the ethereal peak. There were clouds in front of them, and an array formation appeared. At the same time, there was a loud shout. "Who are you? How dare you trespass on the ethereal peak?" The voice carried the aura of a holy king. The 2 figures stopped. "It's us." The man took out the ethereal peak's spirit tablet and waved it forward. A ray of light streaked across the token and surged into the array formation. Not long after, the array formation split open and people walked out from inside. It was young Master Xingqian and Princess Yuehua. "Please." Xingqian nodded, and the 2 of them flew in. "Young Master Xingqian, how was your trip to Mount Han?" A holy king smiled. After hearing this, Xingqian also said that it was not bad. To be honest, this trip was not in vain. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. After the 2 of them flew far away, Yuehua asked, "Senior brother, why are you so happy? We didn't seem to have obtained anything special. In my opinion, this Mount Han is just SOSO. It's not as good as the legends say." Stardust's eyes flickered. He was tall and handsome, and his eyes were like the brightest stars in the night sky. He asked, "What do you think of Xueqi? Are you talking about that ice mountain fairy? I've heard of her. It was said that she was an ice elemental saint and had great attainments and formations. Although she was still a disciple of the grotto heaven and had yet to join the ethereal peak, she was still a disciple of the grotto heaven. However, she was already a half-step Saint King, and with the strength of the Xianbing clan, it was only a matter of time before she joined Misty Peak. Senior brother, are you interested in him?" "That's right." Stardust's eyes flashed with a bright light. When he returned, he would immediately ask the old ancestor to help him propose a marriage. Yu Hua was stunned. "Do you want to propose marriage to Xueqi?" To be honest, although she is not bad, there are too many people in our ethereal peak who are more outstanding than her. "Junior sister, you don't know, but I like this kind of iceberg." Stardust laughed. "All right, you can go back first. I'll go and see the ancestor." Then he turned into a beam of light and disappeared. Yu Hua shook her head slightly. It seemed that another sparrow was about to become a phoenix. Presbytery Pavilion. It was very quiet, and there were countless paths around. This was where the old ancestor of the Presbytery Pavilion was. No one dared to be presumptuous here. At that moment, a figure was flying through the sky. It was Yen Mo. After Yen Mo entered the hall, he said, "Father, I found them." Those two people were disciples of Misty Peak. The man was called Xingqian, and the woman was called Yu Hua. They were the geniuses of the Star Clan and the Moon Clan. In front of them, the old ancestor of the Presbytery Pavilion opened his eyes. A terrifying qi bloomed in his eyes. Then, did the two of them fight? Yen Mo took in a deep breath. That didn't seem too possible. Even though the both of them were geniuses in Ethereal Peak, they were nothing compared to Lin Fan. However, they didn't seem to be able to control the light of reincarnation. Who was it? The old ancestor's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Did anyone from Misty Peak go in? He didn't know. He was still investigating. Go, find out who killed Jiao. Even if it was someone from Misty Peak, he had to give me an explanation. Next, there was an undercurrent. However, Lin Xian didn't care about any of this. He was in seclusion, cultivating with all his might. In front of him, the great void divine furnace was surrounded by flames. It was like a fire dragon, flickering continuously. 9-sun divine flame. Lin Xian had obtained many precious spiritual herbs in the great snow mountain. He was refining them now. When this furnace of pills was completed, he could try to break through and reach late stage, Holy Venerate. At that time, his strength would become even more terrifying. Finally, half a month later, a furnace of pills was completed. Looking at the pills, Lin Xian's lips curled up into a smile. Every pill was crystal clear, and there were great daos flickering on them. Lin Xian waved his hand and started consuming the pills. Boom! Not long after, lightning filled the sky. It was like the end of the world. It attracted the attention of the 1,000 mountain cave again. Could it be that Xue Qi is going to break through again? Countless people became nervous. Xue Qi's father also arrived, and his eyes flickered. However, they did not know that this was Lin Xian breaking through. Lightning tribulations filled the sky, and no one dared to approach this place. This time, the lightning tribulation lasted for a very long time. Lightning flashed and thunder roared in the sky. Countless martial emperors were hacked apart. This scene was horrifying, as if 10,000 dragons were roaring together. A figure covered in flames appeared in the sea of lightning. Countless lightning bolts flickered on his body. Some of them were even as big as a mountain. This was Lin Xian. He brought out his powerful divine body. Countless sword qi turned into divine chains and fought with the lightning in the sky. Finally, Shao Chun blocked the lightning tribulation. Then he sat down cross-legged on the charred ground and started the final tempering. His aura suddenly erupted, and he reached late stage, Holy Venerate. His strength had undergone an earth-shaking change compared to before. This is great. Lin Xian's lips curled up in a smile. The people outside were also looking forward to it. Is it over? I wonder if Princess Xue Qi successfully broke through and became a sage king. They all wanted to go there. At this moment, the lightning that had disappeared gathered again. Then, an even more terrifying power descended. Even Lin Xian abruptly opened his eyes. He looked at the large hall before him and revealed a look of surprise. A sage king tribulation. Is she going to break through? Lin Xian cried out in surprise. The palace in front of him was where Xue Qi was. It seemed like Xue Qi was really going to break through to the Sage King realm. Xue Qi's father and the other Sage Kings outside wanted to come in and check the situation. However, when they sensed the Sage King tribulation, they were all surprised. Is she going to break through now? Chapter 44:65. Retreat quickly. These people retreated one after another. Even those who were in the mansion quickly retreated. Lin Xian's body flickered, and he arrived in the distant void. His eyes flickered as he observed the situation. A bolt of lightning descended in front of him, and it penetrated the heavens and the earth. The palace beneath it was torn apart, and it was turned into ashes. A person was sitting cross-legged in the void, and there was black ice revolving around her body. Soon after, Xueqi opened her eyes, and her black hair fluttered in the wind. The black ice around her body swept out in all directions. The lightning that approached her was instantly sealed by ice. Boom! 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 Xueqi used her 9 body, and ice filled the sky as she fought against the terrifying Saint Tribulation. This battle shook the heavens and the earth, and in the end, Xueqi successfully crossed the Saint Tribulation. She looked up at the sky and let out a long cry, and the clouds in the 9 heavens and 10 lands collapsed. The aura of a Saint King emanated from her body. Boom! It's great! She successfully made a breakthrough. A smile appeared at the corners of Xueqi's mouth. Her injuries, which were caused by the lightning tribulation, quickly healed. Cheer, how are you? After the lightning disappeared, a voice transmitted from afar. At the same time, countless auras in the sky started spreading toward them, and there was even an aura of a great saint among them. It was the Supreme Elder. Many people cried out in alarm. Greetings, Elder Black Ice. They looked at the blue-robed old man and bowed to him. The blue-robed old man's robe fluttered even though there was no wind, and his eyes were like blue lightning that could see through everything. He stared at Xueqi, then clapped his hands and laughed heartily. She made a breakthrough. Great, great, great. He was overjoyed, as his granddaughter had finally taken a crucial step. Is this true? She actually made a breakthrough. It's great. Xueqi's father was also overjoyed, and he clenched his fists. The others also congratulated Black Ice Ancestor one after another. Black Ice Ancestor, congratulations. Princess Xueqi's talent was too great. She was the first person among the younger generation to become a Saint King. Her future achievements were limitless, and she would surely become a great saint. Many praises could be heard, and Black Ice Ancestor laughed heartily. Xueqi's breakthrough was a great matter for the 1,000-mountain paradise, and they invited everyone to a banquet. Soon these people began to move. On the other side, Yanemo walked over and gnashed his teeth. Father, Xueqi has already broken through to the Saint King realm. Damn it! The others were all very happy, but their expressions were incomparably ugly, because his son, Yanjiu, had already fallen. In all honesty, he hoped that Xueqi would die. However, things didn't go as he wished. Not only did Xueqi not die, but she had also become even more powerful. She had even broken through to become a Saint King. Moreover, he wants to invite the world to a banquet. I think he wants to show off to the world. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. Said the ancestor of the holy heavens. She had just become a Saint King, so she didn't pose any threat to him. As long as the black ice old monster does not break through, we will still be evenly matched. Yanemo nodded. He naturally knew. The younger generation represented the hope of the future. However, more importantly, although they were both from the 1,000-mountain grotto heaven, the forces they represented were different. The 1,000-mountain grotto heaven had a total of 3 great sages. One of them fell into a deep slumber. The only ones who were active were his father, the Holy Heaven Grand Sage, and the Black Ice Grand Sage. The 2 of them represented 2 different forces, so they were naturally competing with each other. Previously, Yanjiu had pursued Xueqi. If he had succeeded, then they might have been able to work together. However, there was no such possibility now. Xueqi received countless congratulatory messages, but she ignored them all with an indifferent expression. Many of the younger generation's geniuses had come. Many of them were handsome, and some of them were carefree. However, Xueqi didn't care about them at all. She looked around, as if she was looking for someone. When she saw Lin Xian walk out of the clouds, a smile appeared on her face. Her smile was so beautiful that it could cause the downfall of a nation. Everyone was stunned when they saw it. When the others saw it, they all stared at Lin Xian and gnashed their teeth. Xueqi had indeed said, "Elders, fellow disciples, I just broke through, and I want to consolidate it. All right, Xueqi, you should rest first. When the banquet starts, we will congratulate you properly." The elders all left with their juniors. Xueqi gathered her subordinates and said, "Build a new mansion for me. I will go to another place to live temporarily." She left with Lin Xian. The news that Xueqi had successfully broken through and become a saint king spread out from the Thousand Mountain Paradise. When the other paradises and ancient clans people learned about it, they were all shocked. They all received invitations, and they all set out. The Misty Peaks people also learned about it, and they also sent out a team to go there. Soon, the day of the banquet arrived. The Thousand Mountain Paradise became very lively, and the young disciples all had smiles on their faces. Xueqi was the star of this banquet, and what they needed to do was to attract her attention. They had already heard from their elders that Yan Jiu had died. Since that was the case, they could go and chase after Xueqi. In the past, because of Yan Jiu's existence, many people wanted to get Xueqi's attention. However, they didn't dare to. But now he didn't have to worry about that anymore. If he could get married to Xueqi, he wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. If they could marry Xueqi, their families and their own families would all soar. They had arrived at the Green Hill Paradise. A loud voice came from outside, and a team was invited in. It was the Green Hill Paradise's people. Countless people turned their heads to look, and they all cried out in surprise. The Green Hill Paradise's people were all handsome, and they were like fairies. Many people cried out in surprise. Many people's eyes turned red. They couldn't get Princess Xueqi, but if they could marry a fairy from the Green Hill Paradise, it would be good too. Next, the Howren Paradise, White Cloud Paradise, and Flying Feather Paradises, people all arrived. The last to arrive was the Purple Spirit Paradise's people. Many people were surprised that young Master Ling Tian had come as well. Many people whispered, "Didn't this guy say that he was severely injured and poisoned? How did he recover? His grandfather was a supreme elder, a great saint. He must have personally helped him to expel the poison and heal his injuries." The Purple Spirit Paradises people had a cold expression, and their eyes were cold. To be honest, he was very angry. He was beaten up by a mysterious person for no reason, and he was severely injured. He was even poisoned. Indeed, it was the great saint who saved him. However, this also caused his cultivation and strength to fall. After all, his foundation was injured, and his soul was injured. Now he had fallen to the peak of the Saint Venerable realm, and he was no longer a half-step Saint King. This made him gnash his teeth, especially when he heard that Xueqi had successfully broken through to become Saint King. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Chapter 4466. He was supposed to be the first to break through, but now the glory had fallen to someone else. But fortunately it was Xueqi. If he could marry Xueqi, everything would be perfect. Apart from the people from the 5 grotto heavens, there were also dozens of ancient race and other experts. It could be said that the 1,000 Mountain Grotto was extremely lively. The elders and geniuses of the 1,000 Mountain Grotto were also coming in and out to receive the guests. At this moment, a voice came from the foot of the mountain, welcoming the ethereal peak. As soon as the voice came out, the people in the grotto fell silent. Countless people turned their heads to look. Even the ethereal peak was here? This was unbelievable. The 1,000 Mountain Grotto was actually so influential. The elders and experts of the other grotto heavens were also shocked. The people of the 1,000 Mountain Grotto smiled. Great! They did not expect the people of the ethereal peak to come. Some of the core elders also started to move and went to welcome them. The ethereal peak was in existence above them. No one dared to be careless. The people of the other grotto heavens were also extremely respectful and pious. From afar, a white jade bridge appeared, connecting the heavens and the earth. Countless daos were intertwined on it. There were a few figures on the bridge. The one in front was a middle-aged man. He was tall and wore armor that shone with cold light. His aura was extremely shocking. It was him, Digaju. Many elders of the grotto heavens narrowed their eyes. They did not expect such a person to come here. Some of the young people did not know who this person was. They only knew that his aura was extremely terrifying. They asked, "Elder, is this person powerful?" The elders said, "How dare you be so rude to Elder Dugu?" Saint King Dugu was a late-stage Saint King. He was also an elder of the ethereal peak and had an extraordinary status. He was not someone you could talk about. Did you hear that? The disciples were so scared that their scalps went numb. How terrifying was the elder of the ethereal peak. At the same time, they were even more confused. Why would such a person come for the 1,000 Mountain Grotto? Could it be that something big was going to happen? Even the elders of the 1,000 Mountain Grotto were stunned. They originally thought that they would send some young disciples. But now, such a powerful elder had come personally. For a moment, they were all stunned. The expression of Xueqi's father, Elder Xianhai, changed drastically. Since such an important person had come, he must inform the Supreme Elder as soon as possible. He secretly transmitted his voice. However, as soon as he moved, two powerful auras surged over from afar. "Greetings, Patriarch." The people of 1,000 Mountain Grotto Heaven kept worshipping. The people from the other grotto heavens also bowed and greeted the two great sages. Countless people looked up at him. Was this the great sage? It was really too terrifying. It was the Holy Heavens ancestor and the Black Ice ancestor. The two of them looked ahead when they arrived. They landed on a cloud and smiled. They didn't expect fellow Taoist Dugu of Ethereal Peak to come personally. How disrespectful. The two seniors are too polite, Dugu Ju said indifferently as he cupped his fists. "Fellow Taoist Dugu, please. The two grand elders will personally lead the way." The surrounding people were all stunned. Although Dugu Jiwa was powerful, he was only a late-stage Saint King. Yet, the two great sages were treating him with such respect. In fact, they were treating him as equals. It was truly unbelievable. However, this also showed how extraordinary Ethereal Peak was. It was probably completely above the grotto heavens. "Two seniors, please." Dugu Ju didn't dare to be careless. After all, they were two living fossils, two great sages. The three of them walked forward together. The surrounding people stepped back and made a path for them. There were also a few figures following behind Dugu Ju. Xingqian and Yuehua were among them. The group was invited to the most honorable place and sat down. After that, the two utmost exalted elders also sat down. Everyone was seated. The others also sat down. At this moment, a red-crowned crane was flying in the distance, with two figures standing on top of it. It was Fairy Xueqi. She was here. With a cry of surprise, countless people raised their heads and looked into the distance. The eyes of the young disciples instantly lit up. She was so beautiful. She was like a fairy from the 9th heaven. Xueqi had dressed up meticulously today. Her exquisite snow robe made her look even more noble. She looked like an ice queen. As soon as she appeared, she attracted countless gazes and countless exclamations. The crane flew and circled in the air. Then it landed. Xueqi walked down. Lin Xian also landed behind her. Lin Xian looked around curiously. The people who came this time were more powerful than the people who had gathered at Mount Han. He also found that the 6 grotto heavens were all here, especially when he sensed the 2 aged figures sitting at the very front. His pupils abruptly shrunk. The aura of a great sage. They were real great sages. He took a deep breath. As expected of a grotto heaven, it was much more powerful than the holy city. There were even great sages here. And there was more than one. Who was this person? When he saw Duguju, he was also stunned. Duguju was only a late-stage Saint Venerable. However, he could sit on the same level as a great sage. This surprised him. However, when he saw Xing Chen and Yu Hua sitting beside Duguju, he immediately understood what was going on. He had seen these two people before. They were from Misty Peak. He guessed that the middle-aged man sitting at the front was also an expert from Misty Peak. It seemed like Misty Peak's status was really important. Xing Chen's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Xueqi. A smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. As expected of the person he had taken a fancy to, she was even more beautiful than he had imagined. However, when he saw Lin Xian, he furrowed his brows. Once he married Xueqi, this battle servant wouldn't need to exist anymore. Many people's gazes also fell on Lin Xian. There were even some geniuses who were envious of him. They wished they could turn into battle servants and stay by Xueqi's side. Let me introduce you. This is Elder Dugu of Misty Peak. He came here especially for this meeting. You should thank him properly. Xian Hai stood up and looked at his daughter with a smile. Xueqi was also surprised. Did Elder Dugu of Misty Peak come here personally? Did he come here to take a disciple? Junior Xueqi greets Elder Dugu. You are too polite. My niece, Xueqi, has great talent. It is only a matter of time before she joins Misty Peak. Xueqi also smiled as she thanked Elder Dugu for his praise. She had always wanted to join Misty Peak. The other people also went into an uproar. They all guessed that Duguju had come here to take a disciple. These people were the outstanding geniuses of Misty Peak. Xian Hai pointed at Xing Chen and the others. Chapter 4467. Xueqi also bowed slightly to greet everyone. Sister Xueqi, you are too courteous. We will be on the same side in the future, Yu Hua said with a smile. After that, Xueqi met the elders of the other heavens and the experts of the ancient race. She sat down. The banquet started, and it was very lively. Many people came to congratulate Xueqi. Just the gifts that Lin Xian had received for her had already piled up into a mountain. During the banquet, there were also some fights. After all, everyone was an expert, and they liked watching fights. Some geniuses of the heavens and ancient race started fighting. The battle stopped there, but it was still very exciting and intense. All kinds of great daos appeared between heaven and earth. Interesting. Even I want to fight. I wonder who wants to exchange a few moves with me? At this moment, a figure stood up from the Misty Peak's side. It was a short-haired man. He wore blue armor and carried a saber on his back. His cultivation was only at the half-step Holy King realm, but he was able to join the Misty Peak. There was only one explanation. He was a descendant of one of the elders of the Misty Peak. Mo Fan walked out and looked at the people of the other heavens and ancient race. What's wrong? Does no one dare to fight? The banquet fell silent for a moment. Mo Fan sneered coldly. Didn't you all think that you were geniuses? Why don't you even have the courage to fight me? You are really disappointing. You want to join the Misty Peak? I'm afraid you don't have the chance. What an arrogant person. When the people of the 6 great heavens heard this, they frowned. Some of them had ugly expressions. It's not that we don't want to fight, but if we injure you, we will end up in a miserable state. These words were exactly what everyone was thinking. It wasn't that they couldn't defeat him, but that he was from the Misty Peak and no one dared to fight him. When Mo Fan heard this, he smiled. So, this is what you are worried about. I can tell you that you don't need to worry. Who can defeat me, or even injure me? I will reward you handsomely. Even if I am injured, I won't blame you. Everyone can hear what I am saying. Do you still have anything to worry about? Since that's the case, I will challenge you. A figure stood up. It was Meng Hao of the Howren Heavens. After Meng Hao walked out, he said, Excuse me. Unparalleled laws of nature burst out from his body. His palm formed a seal of nature and pushed forward. This was the ultimate technique of the vast grotto heaven. This Meng Hao was also a top genius, and his attacks were truly terrifying. Most likely, there was no one below Saint King who could do anything to him, right? Mo Fan let out a hollow laugh. The Howren Wonderland, huh? He pulled out the saber on his back. Purple flames rose from the saber as it slashed down with an unparalleled aura. Purple flame, devil saber. The saber slashed down and collided with the Howren seal. Both of them let out an earth-shaking sound. This slash actually sent Meng Hao flying backward. This guy is so strong. He is indeed from the ethereal peak. The crowd realized that although Mo Fan was arrogant, his strength was not weak at all. Mo Fan let out a hollow laugh after he succeeded, and charged forward once again. The long saber in his hand continued to fall like lightning, enveloping the world. Meng Hao kept retreating, but he was not nervous at all. Suddenly, countless Howren seals appeared behind him. There were a total of 12 of them, and they covered the sky and covered the earth, directly enveloping his opponent. This was a kind of ultimate technique. It turned out that he was not really defeated before. He was just retreating in order to advance, looking for an opening. Finally, he found an opportunity. Boom! 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 Under the mighty attack, Mo Fan was hit and was sent flying. His face was pale, and blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth. There were even a few cracks on his body. He was injured. Countless people were shocked. Meng Hao walked forward. You have lost this battle. Mo Fan's eyes instantly turned red. Damn it, you dare to hurt me? Go to hell. He roared angrily, and the long saber in his hand instantly burst out with an unparalleled light. A roar burst out from his saber, and then it turned into a phantom and slashed forward. Boom! The power of this slash surpassed everything before. It even carried the aura of a Saint King. Not good. This was the weapon of a Saint King, and it was sealed before. Countless cries of surprise rang out, and Meng Hao's pupils constricted. He once again used the Howren seal to block the attack. However, he was still a step too late. In an instant, he was sent flying, and a crack appeared on his body. One of his arms was directly cut off. Meng Hao was injured. The people of the Howren Grotto were nervous. The others also exclaimed. The battle should be over. They did not expect Mo Fan to use the weapon of a Saint King. It was an unfair victory. Everyone sighed. To be honest, with Meng Hao's status, he could naturally take out a Saint King weapon. However, since it was a spar, they would not rely on external forces. However, to everyone's surprise, Mo Fan did not stop. His eyes were red. Since you dare to hurt me, go to hell. The saber in his hand slashed down again. Damn it, is this guy crazy? Does he want to kill me? This was not the end of the battle. He had said so nicely before that he did not care about being injured or losing, but now his opponent had hurt him a little. He actually wanted to kill his opponent. Meng Hao's face was also cold. To be honest, he was also angry. Did he think he did not have a Saint King weapon? His severed arm healed, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. He was about to attack. However, at that moment, the elder of the Howren Grotto stood up. Very well. Meng Hao had lost this battle. Elder. Meng Hao was not convinced. However, the elder of the Howren Grotto did say, Meng Hao, you are injured. You have lost this battle. Yes, I understand. Meng Hao walked back unwillingly. Mo Fan harumphed coldly. Fortunately, you were not injured. Otherwise, you would be a dead man by now. Who else wants to stand with me? The surrounding people did not say anything. This guy was simply a madman. He could not afford to be taken advantage of. Furthermore, his status was frighteningly high. No one dared to act rashly. Who would want to fight with such a person? What a bunch of trash. Mo Fan laughed coldly. In front of him, Stardust frowned slightly. Mo Fan, come back. To be honest, he also felt that Mo Fan was a bit embarrassing. Fine, I'll spare them this time. Mo Fan walked back. For a moment, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Dugu Ju said with a smile, "Today we came here not only to congratulate Xue Qi, but also for another matter." "Oh, another matter? What is it?" The two great elders were confused. The others were also surprised. Dugu Ju said with a smile, "Xue Qi's children should be of marriageable age." Dugu Ju wondered if she had a good husband. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. What did he mean? Even Xue Qi furrowed her brows. Chapter 4468. Dugu Ju continued with a smile. "This is Xingqian, a genius of the ethereal peak. He has reached the Saint King realm. Senior Black Ice, what do you think?" Black Ice Ancestor was also taken aback. What did Taoist Dugu mean? Dugu Ju said, "This time, I'm here to propose marriage." Propose marriage? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Those from the Thousand Mountain Cave were stunned. Those from the other caves were also dumbfounded. It seemed like they were here to propose marriage for Xingqian. Oh my God! Despair filled their eyes. Yan Jiu's matter had given them hope. After all, they could pursue Xue Qi. But now the ethereal peak had proposed marriage. Who would dare to oppose it? Sure enough, those young geniuses were disappointed. Even the elders from the Thousand Mountain Cave were stunned. Elder Xianbing was also stunned. She didn't expect that the other party was here to propose marriage. Xingqian is a genius of the Star Clan of the Ethereal Peak. If the marriage alliance is successful this time, then both of us can work together. Countless people were stunned. The eyes of those from the other caves turned red. If they could work together with the Ethereal Peak, it would be a great benefit for the caves. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor's face turned cold. Yan Mo's face also turned ugly. This way, the Thousand Mountain Cave would benefit. But the biggest beneficiary would be the Black Ice lineage. Xingqian would probably soar to the sky in the future. If that happened, the Thousand Mountain Cave lineage would be at a disadvantage. So they were very anxious. This Black Ice ancestor was also stunned for a moment. To be honest, she did not know how to respond. But at this moment, Xue Qi stood up and said, "I'm not willing." What? Everyone was shocked. Xue Qi was not willing. Don't be rude," Xian Hai said with a frown. How could she refuse such an important event? But father, Xue Qi still wanted to say something. Xian Hai waved his hand and said, "I said don't be rude. Sit down first. The Supreme Elder will make the decision." Although Xue Qi refused, Dugu Ju did not care. He looked at Black Ice Ancestor. He knew that the most important thing was to deal with Black Ice Ancestor. He waved his hand and looked at the stars. What are you waiting for?" Xingqian stood up and said with a smile, "Senior Xianbing, if Xue Qi and I can be together, I will definitely treat her well for the rest of my life." These were some greeting gifts. "I hope that Senior and Xue Qi won't dislike it." As he spoke, he waved his hand and 3 treasure boxes appeared in the sky. Was this a betrothal gift? Countless people cried out in surprise as they looked up at the sky. Xing Chan waved his hand, and the first treasure box opened. Immediately, 9-colored light flew out and circled the world. A terrifying aura of the Great Path surged. The surrounding people were all stunned. Just the aura alone was so terrifying. How heaven-defying was this treasure? Then a fist-sized jade flew out. The jade was sparkling and translucent. It was exceptionally dreamy, as if it was the most precious treasure in the world. However, what was surprising was not this piece of jade, but what was sealed in the jade. It was a stalk of spirit medicine, and it could be seen that it was very old. Xingqian said proudly with his hands behind his back, "This was a 30,000-year-old herb." The surrounding people were all in an uproar. 30,000-year-old. Heavens, isn't this a little too long ago? This was definitely enough to make anyone's eyes turn red. Sure enough, even the two grand elders' eyes shone with a biting cold light. This was extremely useful to them. Not only could it increase their cultivation, but it could also increase their lifespan. The holy heavens' old ancestors' eyes turned red. Why didn't his junior have a peerless fairy like Xueqi? Damn it, this black ice old ancestor is going to benefit. Black ice old ancestor was also very happy. However, as a great saint, he was very experienced and knowledgeable. Thus, he was extremely calm at this moment and did not say anything. When Xingqian saw this, he waved his hand again. Immediately, the second treasure box opened. Boundless light flew out from it. It was also a piece of divine crystal, and there was a celestial pot sealed in it. The crowd was puzzled. Could it be a top-grade saint artifact? Xingqian said that there was half a bottle of spirit wine in the celestial pot. It should be the legendary Linglong Saint wine. The surrounding people went crazy. The Linglong Saint wine was a legendary existence. With just a sip, one could almost ascend to the immortal realm. It could definitely increase one's cultivation by a few hundred years. It could directly create a peerless expert. As expected of the Misty Peak, it was really too amazing. The things that they took out shocked everyone. At the same time, everyone knew that it seemed like this marriage proposal was going to be successful. Presumably, the Thousand Mountain Grotto would definitely not reject it. What was inside the third treasure box? At this moment, countless people were looking forward to it. Xingqian waved his hand and opened the third treasure box. Moonlight appeared inside. Then, a crescent moon flew out. It was the moon. Everyone was stunned. However, some of the older generation experts shook their heads. No, it looked like the moon. It was a piece of metal. Some of you should have guessed it. It was called the metal of the hidden moon. It was a material used to create great saint artifacts. I don't think I need to explain how precious it was. The surrounding people's eyes almost popped out. The metal of the hidden moon was crystal clear. It was flowing with radiance, like a divine moon. It was a peerless metal. Indeed, the eyes of the two great saints turned red. Although they were great saints and had great saint artifacts in their hands, those great saint artifacts had been passed down in the heavenly grotto since ancient times. They were not created by them. It was too difficult for a great saint to create his own great saint artifact. The reason was that the materials needed were extremely precious. Many people might not be able to find all of them in their lifetime. Therefore, the great saints used divine artifacts that had been passed down. Now, such a piece of metal had appeared, and it made the eyes of the two great saints turn red. If they could get it and create their own great saint artifacts, they would be satisfied for the rest of their lives. Each of the three treasures would be astonishing if taken out. Now that they had appeared together, no one would be able to reject them. The corners of Black Ice Ancestor's mouth curled up as she looked at Xueqi. Xueqi's heart thumped. She stood up and said once again, "I'm not willing." The surrounding people went crazy. She was still not willing? What was Xueqi thinking? Some female disciples of the other heavenly grottos snorted coldly. Why was she so arrogant? Did she really think of herself as a peerless fairy? Xingqian was so handsome, and he was also a martial artist of the Misty Peak. His status was above all heavenly grottos. If they were in Xueqi's place, they would have agreed long ago. Moreover, she had taken out 3 treasures, which showed her sincerity. Those female martial artists were so angry that they wished they could rush over and agree immediately. However, Xueqi had refused them twice, which made them go crazy with anger. Why was the disparity between people so big? Chapter 44:69. The smile on Xingqian's face disappeared, and his expression became unsightly. She had already rejected him twice. Didn't he want to lose face? Even Digu Ju furrowed his brows slightly. His expression became gloomy, but he didn't say anything. Xian Hai said hurriedly, "Elder Dugu, please calm down. My daughter is still young, and she is used to being spoiled. Elder Dugu, please don't take offense. I have already made up my mind." Xue Qi stood out once again. At this moment, countless gazes fell on her. Xue Qi looked around and said in a clear voice, "Elder Dugu, thank you for your love. However, Xue Qi already has someone in her heart." After she spoke, she glanced at Lin Xian. Everyone was taken aback. Xue Qi already has someone in her heart. Damn it! Who is it? I will fight him to the death. Even Xing Chen's expression became unsightly. He had proposed a marriage in front of everyone, but Xue Qi didn't agree. She even said that she already had someone in her heart. This was a slap to his face. "Qi, don't be rude." Xian Hai shouted angrily. Even Black Ice Ancestor's expression changed. This was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but if it wasn't handled properly, it might turn into a disaster. Offending the Misty Peak would lead to a miserable end. The Holy Heavens Ancestor and the others sneered inwardly. This scene was beyond their expectations. However, they were still very happy. "Qi is too young, and we will give you an explanation for this matter." Black Ice Ancestor also spoke. Now, the situation had become very awkward, and they had to stop it quickly. Otherwise, the Misty Peak would become even angrier. Qi had just broken through recently, and she might be too tired. This was why she wasn't in a good mood. "Guards, take Qi away to rest." Xian Hai waved his hand, and many guards walked out. It seemed like they wanted to take Xue Qi away by force. Xue Qi said, "Who dares to do this?" She took a step forward, but the guards continued to walk towards her. When Lin Xian saw this scene, he sighed. He knew that Xue Qi didn't agree because of him. After all, Xue Qi was already his woman. Now, Xue Qi was going against the 1,000-mountain wonderland and the Misty Peak for him. How could he just sit by and watch? Lin Xian walked out as well. With a stomp of his foot, endless nomological laws condensed under his feet and enveloped the guards. Countless laws formed divine chains, sealing them in the sky. "Audacious, do you dare to make a move?" Xian Hai roared. Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He laughed. For the sake of a few treasures, he was willing to push his own daughter into the fire pit. As a father, he wasn't much. "What did you say?" Xian Hai was completely enraged. A mere battle servant dared to clamor with him? "Kneel!" he roared. However, Lin Xian stood there without moving. He said coldly, "What? Am I wrong? You are Xue Qi's elders, yet you don't care about Xue Qi at all. All you think about is the treasure and the relationship with the Misty Peak. Have you ever cared about Xue Qi's feelings? Xue Qi is still young, and she doesn't understand anything. We're doing this for her own good." Xian Hai said coldly. Lin Xian laughed out loud. "Young? Don't understand? I see that you've lived for thousands of years, but you don't understand either. How presumptuous! Who gave you the guts to speak here?" Xian Hai went crazy. The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. Who is this guy? Is he some genius? What a joke! Can't he see that he's just a battle servant? What? A battle servant dares to speak to an elder in such a manner? He'll probably suffer a fate worse than death. Xue Qi turned around and looked at Lin Xian. She revealed a smile. She knew that she had made the right choice. In the next instant, she said, "Father, grandfather, if you insist on marrying Xue Qi, it's fine. But I have a condition." "What condition? Speak." Xian Hai was delighted. As long as Xue Qi agreed, they would fulfill any condition. Xue Qi said, "My husband will surely be a peerless hero. Weaklings don't have such qualifications. You can set your mind at ease. Xingqian is also a Saint King, and he reached the Saint King realm 3 years ago. This showed that Xingqian's power was extremely great. However, Xue Qi said, even among Saint Kings, There are strong and weak ones. My condition is that you must defeat me in order to become my husband. Moreover, since you think that I'm not young anymore, it's time for me to get married. All right, let's have a competition to find a spouse. I'll invite all the geniuses in the world to sign up. If anyone can defeat me, I'll marry him." Everyone went into an uproar when they heard this. A competition to find a spouse? Oh my God! Didn't this mean that they also had a chance? Some people were shocked. Duguju furrowed his brows and looked at Xingqian. Xingqian's face was gloomy, but a smile quickly appeared at the corners of his mouth. A competition to find a spouse? Interesting. Fine, I'll agree. Xueqi, I'll defeat you personally to prove my power. I'm the most suitable person to be your husband. Xian Hai heaved a sigh of relief. Since even Xingqian had agreed, they didn't need to say anything. However, after this matter, they still had to apologize properly. Even Black Ice Ancestor sighed. It seemed like she had to make a trip to the Misty Peak. After all, they had really embarrassed the Misty Peak today. 10 days from now, I'll accept your challenge. I'll only give you 10 days to prepare. After Xueqi finished speaking, she turned around and left. Countless people went into an uproar. They knew that a good show was about to begin. Moreover, the news had already spread. All the experts in the region rushed over. They also wanted to participate. The Thousand Mountain Cave was also busy. They were preparing to set up the ancient arena. They also had to entertain more people. On the other side, Black Ice Ancestor personally invited Duguju and the others to a quiet palace, where she received them personally. Xingqian was a little unhappy before, but now a smile appeared on his face. He wanted to conquer her personally. On the other side, after Xueqi went back, she looked at Lin Xian. She said, 10 days from now you'll participate, right? Since they had come back from Mount Han, the two of them had been cultivating in seclusion. They even tried to avoid what had happened. This made Xueqi very sad. Lin Xian looked at her and said, "Of course, you're already my woman. Your husband can only be me. I've already thought it through. The Thousand Mountain Cave is the Thousand Mountain Cave, and you are you. Moreover, I don't want to kill the entire Thousand Mountain Cave. I only want to kill a part of it." That's right. Lin Xian wanted to kill those who had participated in sealing them. He also wanted to kill the members of the world of men. After Xueqi heard this, she revealed a beautiful smile. Great! She had seen Lin Xian's power. This was why she had thought of the martial arts competition to find a spouse. As long as Lin Xian displayed his great power in front of everyone 10 days from now, it wouldn't matter even if he was just a battle servant. When this news spread out, the whole world went into an uproar. More experts rushed over. Among them, there were even some saints. Chapter 4470. After all, Xueqi was already a true Saint King. If they wanted to defeat her, they had to be a saint. Of course, there were also some people who wanted to join in the fun. After all, they were the center of attention at this time. If they could shine in the battle, even if they lost in the end, they would still be famous in the world. They all came to the Thousand Mountain Cave with different goals in mind. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, everyone was excited. The Thousand Mountain Cave even took out many arenas for the upcoming battles. The two Grand Elders and the Dugu Xingwang had all arrived. They sat high up in the clouds and looked down. The experts of the other heavenly caves and the ancient race all gathered around them. Xingqian was wearing a battle armor today, and his eyes were emitting a cold aura. Today he was going to sweep across the 8 barren lands and defeat Xueqi personally. Then he would carry out the marriage alliance. The experts and experts of the other heavenly caves were also excited. At this time, Mo Fan walked out again and said loudly, "If you want to challenge Xueqi, you have to go through me first. If you can't even defeat me, you don't have the right to challenge a saint." He was right. Other than Mo Fan, 3 more people arrived. They were all from the Misty Peak. These 3 people were all half-step Saint Kings. They stood in 3 arenas and were going to be eliminated. It's so lively. It seems like I'm not too late. A loud laugh came from the sky. Then, a sword light flashed and formed a figure. Another expert came to challenge them. Everyone felt the pressure. No, this was not an ordinary Saint King. This was a late-stage Saint King. This was a terrifying expert. Countless people exclaimed. They looked up at the sky, and so did the people of the 1,000 Mountain Cave. The 2 Supreme Elders and Dugaju were stunned. Their pupils shrank. It's him. The 3 of them stood up at the same time. Taoist Wuk, what a rare guest. I didn't expect you to come. Black Ice Ancestor was very surprised. His face was full of excitement. This was too much. This was the martial arts competition of his granddaughter. Now, not only Dugaju, but also Wuk had come. This made him feel proud. On the other side, the Holy Heavens Ancestor was also surprised. He did not dare to be negligent. Long time no see. Tour guide Wuk, Dugaju said. The 3 of them invited the peerless swordsman down from the sky. The surrounding people were shocked. Who was this person? He was so terrifying. His identity was also extraordinary. Could it be that he was also from the Ethereal Peak? The Misty Peak actually sent 2 elders. It was too unbelievable. However, there were also some who shook their heads. No, these people from Ethereal Peak looked confused. Clearly, they did not know this peerless swordsman. This person was not from Ethereal Peak. Who was that? In this place, other than the Misty Peak, who else could make the Grotto Heavens treat them with such respect, or even be on equal footing with the Misty Peak? Everyone was puzzled. I wonder where Xueqi is. Jian Wuk asked with a smile after he came down. Xueqi were almost there. Not long after, the red-crowned crane flew over from afar. Xueqi and Lin Xian descended gracefully like celestial beings. Here it comes. Countless people's eyes lit up. Jian Wuk said with a smile. She is indeed a peerless genius. It seems like Xueqi's future is limitless. Elder Wuk, it won't be long before my daughter marries Xingqian of the Misty Peak. At that time, I hope Elder Wuk can come. Oh, Jian Wuk was surprised. At this moment, Yan Mo said coldly, Elder Xian Hai, it's too early for you to be happy. What will be the final result of this competition? No one can say for sure. Why? Do you think that young Master Xingqian won't be able to obtain the final victory? Xian Hai glanced at Yan Mo and revealed a meaningful smile. Yan Mo's son had been pursuing his daughter. Now that Yan Jiu was dead, he must be furious. However, even if Yan Jiu was alive, how could he be compared to Xingqian? Yan Mo looked at Dugaju with respect, and then looked at Xian Hai. He said with a smile, I didn't say that young Master Xingqian would lose. It's just that I think everyone knows Xueqi's temper. At that time, I hope Xueqi will keep her word. Xian Hai's face darkened. I know my daughter. She won't go back on her word. All right, stop fighting. Just watch the competition patiently. Elder Xianbing also said in a deep voice. Soon, everyone's gazes shifted downwards. The people below had already started. Mo Fan and the other 3 experts of the Misty Peak were in charge of the elimination. The battles were very fast. The 3 of them were very strong. Even if they were fighting against experts of the same level, they would finish the battle within 3 moves. Damn it! How could it be so coincidental? Everyone was in despair. Some of the people who wanted to participate hesitated. They were all half-step Saint Kings. Why was the gap between them so huge? Could this be the Misty Peak? The super skills and ultimate techniques used by the other party far surpassed theirs. Look, it's Han Chong. He's back. They heard that he had gone to another world to train. They didn't expect him to finally return. This time his strength would be even more terrifying. Discussions broke out one after another. Lin Xian turned his head and looked over with a look of surprise on his face. He had met Han Chong in the true spirit world before. He was already a saint atop existence. Now that he had returned, his strength had increased again. He had reached the half-step Saint King realm. Furthermore, Lin Xian knew that these people were all experts who had experienced hundreds of battles. After going through the trials of other worlds, they were much stronger than ordinary half-step Saint Kings. Han Chong walked up, bringing with him endless ice. Countless people were discussing. This guy was like Fairy Xueqi, an expert of the ice element. They didn't know if he could fight against the people of the Misty Peak. Oh, an interesting guy is coming up? Mo Fan looked at the other party with surprise. Then he said, "Interesting. I'll give you a chance to attack first." "Sorry." Han Chong cupped his fists and said. Then, the laws on his body erupted like an iceberg. The cold aura caused frost to appear on the surrounding people. Buzz! A ray of ice light covered the sky and flew forward. "Too weak." Mo Fan sneered and slashed forward. The ice shattered. A large ice bow appeared in Han Chong's hand. As he drew it back, countless ice arrows covered the sky as they flew forward. In an instant, the sky and earth were completely frozen. Boom! Boom! A lot of ice appeared on it. Mo Fan's hand was the same. It was frozen. He felt his movements become slower. Even the law was frozen. "Humph!" Mo Fan shouted. Holding the sword with both hands, he slashed down from the sky like a galaxy. Boom! The ice swords in the sky were mercilessly torn apart. It was over. Mo Fan slashed at Han Chong again. Chapter 4471. Han Chong kept retreating. Many icicles appeared in front of him, about to pierce through everything. At the same time, countless icicles condensed into a clone behind Mo Fan. An icicle spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it out like a dragon's roar. There were attacks in front and behind him. It was a trap! Countless people exclaimed. Mo Fan naturally felt the terrifying power coming from behind him. He roared angrily, and the seal on the battle saber in his hand was undone. It formed a Saint King weapon. With a single strike, the clone behind it was destroyed. Another slash forced Han Chong back. Han Chong fell out of the arena, his arm numb. "I lost." He sighed. "Who else?" Mo Fan snorted. Next, Huiwa also went up. These were the people that Lin Xian had seen in the true spirit world. They all went up one after another. In the end, they all lost. Young Master Ling Tian's face turned ghastly pale when he saw this. He thought that he could even defeat the other party in this battle. But now he had no hope at all, so he didn't go up. Everyone was in despair. The people of Ethereal Peak were indeed strong to be able to sweep the world with just one saber. Damn it. Why didn't they send our experts? We also have saint-level experts. Some disciples gritted their teeth. However, the elders of the Grotto Heavens snorted. Are you really stupid or an idiot? If you want to die, don't drag the Grotto Heavens down with you. The other party is from Misty Peak. We don't even have time to befriend them. Who would be stupid enough to let a saint fight? Isn't this a challenge? Do you think you'll have a good ending if you go against Misty Peak? Now, the half-step Saint Kings were just going to train. This way, they could train the disciples and not offend Misty Peak. No Grotto Heavens or ancient race dared to offend Misty Peak. However, there was an exception, because a black-robed man walked over. Only a pair of eyes appeared on his body, emitting a cold light. His aura had reached the Saint King realm. Mo Fan and the other two's faces were cold. Take my strongest attack, Purple Flame Demonic Saber. Mo Fan roared and used the battle saber in his hand to the extreme. Balls of purple flames jumped, waving in the sky. This saber was tens of thousands of miles long, slashing down from the sky. The black-robed man struck out with his palm, and the laws danced on it, forming a hand of laws that blocked the saber. Another punch knocked Mo Fan back. Mo Fan's face went pale. Damn it! He wanted to risk his life, but at this moment Xingqian said, "Junior brother Mo, stop. Leave this person to me." Mo Fan came to a stop and nodded. "Very well, you can pass. However, sooner or later, you will have to stay under my senior brother Xingqian." The black-robed man chuckled coldly. Without saying a word, he walked to the side. Next, he continued. More people walked out one after another, but they were all defeated. In the end, almost no one came out. Was there nothing left? Mo Fan swept his gaze around. At this moment, another figure walked out. His appearance caused countless cries of surprise. Lin Xian's gaze was steady, and his expression was calm as he walked forward. Was he going to participate as well? He actually dared to have designs on Fairy Xueqi. Acting recklessly, battle servants could be killed directly. Cold laughter could be heard. The faces of the people from the Thousand Mountain Cave turned ugly. Damn it, a battle servant is participating? What a joke! Xian Hai stood up and shouted angrily, "Little battle servant, kneel down! Men, take him down!" There were 4 figures in the surroundings, and they quickly walked toward Lin Xian. They all had chains of law in their hands, and they wanted to seal Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he instantly arrived in the arena like lightning. The 4 of them were stunned. What speed! Xian Hai was also stunned. "You get back!" Xian Hai roared and activated the life and death curse. In his opinion, no matter how strong a battle servant was, as long as the life and death curse was activated, the opponent would definitely die. However, there seemed to be an exception this time. Lin Xian stood there unaffected. How was this possible? Xian Hai's eyes widened. Who was this person? Did he not plant the life and death curse on him? The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Sacred Ruler Xingqian suddenly stood up and said, "Impossible! I personally brought him to Elder Three-Eyed. He must have planted the life and death curse. Kid, this is not a place where you can come. Quickly leave." As he spoke, he also used the life and death curse. However, Lin Xian did not have any reaction at all. Damn it, what was going on? Sacred Ruler Xingqian's eyes widened. His opponent was really unaffected. Could it be that there was something wrong with the life and death curse? Quickly go and invite Elder Three-Eyed here. Sacred Ruler Xingqian roared, and the surrounding people instantly flew into the distance. Most of the elders had come to such a grand event. There were also some elders who did not come. Elder Three-Eyed did not come. Now that there was a problem with the life and death curse, they naturally invited him over. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Sacred Ruler Xingqian. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Then he looked at Xian Hai again and said in a clear voice, "If I remember correctly, the martial arts competition invites everyone in the world. There are no special rules. Who said that I can't participate? Damn kid, can a battle servant be considered a human?" Sacred Ruler Xingqian roared. The others also had cold faces. Indeed, a battle servant was no different from an ant in their eyes. At this moment, Xueqi spoke up. "Who said that he can't participate? I said that anyone can participate as long as they have the strength." The crowd was in an uproar. Fairy Xueqi was actually speaking up for the other party. Damn it, why? Many people went crazy. Xingqian's face also darkened. An ant was actually able to snatch away his face. I've inquired about this person. He's an array master and has helped Xueqi with a lot of array matters. That's why he's receiving such treatment. An array master. Humph. A mere sacred ruler. No matter how strong he is, how strong can he be? Since he dares to go against me, I'll let him know what it's like to live a life worse than death. Xian Hai wanted to say something, but at this moment, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor spoke up. All right, let him participate. If this continues, it will only embarrass us even more. This is against the rules. However, Black Ice Old Ancestor also nodded. Let him participate. He won't pass anyway. Xian Hai did not say anything. The surrounding people were shocked. A battle servant was participating in the contest for a spouse. If this news spread, it would definitely shock the world. Mo Fan sneered. He had already received his senior brother's message. He would not let the other party go. Was he only a saint venerable? Too weak. I can kill you with a single finger. But don't worry, I won't really kill you. I'll cripple your cultivation and break your limbs. You'll continue to live like an ant. After saying that, he laughed proudly. You're happy too early. You're just a half-step, sacred ruler. I don't care about you. I advise you to kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. Then I'll spare your life. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Lin Xian said indifferently, standing with his hands behind his back. Chapter 4472. What did you say? Mo Fan was stunned. Everyone else was stunned. A sacred venerate was threatening a half-step sacred king? Furthermore, it was a peak half-step sacred king. What was this kid thinking? If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Mo Fan stretched out a finger and pointed forward. Countless purple flames were dancing on it. The surrounding void shattered in an instant, unable to withstand this power at all. The people from the other grotto heavens sneered. With this attack, this guy's soul would probably be destroyed. If an ant died, then so be it. There was nothing to pity. The surrounding people sneered. Facing the attack, Lin Xian put away his smile and attacked with lightning speed. He grabbed the finger with his palm. Crack! The finger was broken, and a miserable cry rang out. Lin Xian broke the other party's arm with another palm. Ah! Sacred blood fell, piercing through heaven and earth. Mo Fan retreated in a sorry state, his handsome face twisted. The pain made him go crazy. You dare hurt me? I'll kill you. At this moment, he could no longer care about anything else. His arm instantly recovered, and he slashed forward. Everyone was stunned. This guy was so strong that he could injure Mo Fan. Mo Fan must have been careless. Just watch, he would definitely die. Buzz! The saber flashed, and everyone's expressions changed. Whether it was Han Chong, Yu Hui, or Meng Hao, they were all defeated by this saber. This was especially true for Han Chong and Yu Hui. They had seen Lin Xian in the true spirit world before. They knew how terrifying this guy was. He was a top expert of a world. But so what? He had come to the buried Emperor's Star to fight. Pooh! Did this guy want to change his fate? It was impossible. They all shook their heads and sneered. I said that you're not my match. Seeing that Mo Fan continued to attack, Lin Xian shook his head and slapped again. This guy was crazy. That was the weapon of a sacred king. The surrounding people exclaimed. This guy's hand would be broken immediately. No matter how strong his body was, a sacred venerate couldn't block the weapon of a sacred king. Clang! The palm and the saber collided. The palm didn't break, and instead it grabbed the saber. Then, Lin Xian's other palm slapped over. A palm landed on Mo Fan's face. Mo Fan was sent flying like a kite with its string cut. His teeth scattered across the ground, and half of his face was smashed into pieces. This saber is not bad. It's a pity that it was used by you. What a waste! Lin Xian held his saber in a reverse grip and slashed out. Mo Fan rose to his feet. He was about to lose his temper when he was slashed in half. He roared madly as his soul escaped. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Do you know who I am? Before he could finish his words, another slap landed on him, and his soul dimmed. Didn't you say you wanted to break my limbs? Cripple my cultivation? I'll fulfill your wish. Wong! The saber slashed at the soul. The saber shook as if it was roaring. Endless purple flames burned. However, it couldn't leave Lin Xian's palm. Damn it, how dare you! The people of Misty Peak were enraged. They pointed their stardust finger, and terrifying starlight surrounded them as they charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the elders of the Thousand Mountain Cave also made their move. The two holy rulers descended together and enveloped Lin Xian. A terrifying aura surged out. Xue Qi cried out in alarm and quickly retreated. Lin Xian blocked the starlight with his saber, but he didn't make a move. What? Are you going to ignore the rules in front of the whole world? Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven's face has been lost because of you. Stop! The Holy Heaven's old ancestor roared furiously. A monstrous aura of a great sage surged out and swept out in all directions. Everyone stopped. No one dared to make a move against Lin Xian. Xian Hai's expression changed. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor couldn't be allowed to live. He went too far. He actually dared to attack the people of Misty Peak. It's unavoidable to make a mistake in a battle on the stage. However, even if he deserves to die, we shouldn't be the ones to do it. After this matter is over, we will personally hand him over to Misty Peak and let them deal with him. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor gave face to Misty Peak and protected Lin Xian at the same time. To be honest, he was only protecting Lin Xian because he wanted to make things difficult for Black Ice Ancestor. After all, if Black Ice Ancestor really joined hands with Misty Peak, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. Therefore, he couldn't let this matter go smoothly. He was the one who had secretly sent the black-robed Holy Ruler. Now that Lin Xian had displayed such great strength, he couldn't let Lin Xian die. Lin Xian was stunned. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor was protecting him? He didn't know the Holy Heaven's old ancestor at all. However, after thinking about it, he understood. His lips curled up into a smile. Did I pass? Xian Hai gritted his teeth and said, You passed. The surrounding people were stunned. They had never thought that a battle servant with the cultivation of a holy venerate would successfully pass the test. How could this guy be so strong? He had actually defeated Mo Fan. Not only that, but he had also taken the Holy Ruler's weapon with his bare hands. This guy's body was at least at the level of a Holy Ruler. Is he really a holy venerate? I have a feeling that he was hiding his strength. Many people exclaimed in surprise. What's going on with this battle servant? The people from Thousand Mountain Cave also started to investigate. They wanted to find Lin Xian's secret. Xue Qi also heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the elders didn't join hands, Lin Xian shouldn't have any problems with the rest. She might have seen Lin Xian kill a Holy Ruler elder with her own eyes. Furthermore, to prevent these people from investigating Lin Xian's secret, she quickly stood out and said, all right, only 3 people have passed. Next, I will fight with these 3 people. If you can defeat me, you can become my husband. The final battle was about to begin. The crowd held their breaths. They wondered who among the 3 would be able to defeat Xue Qi. Someone sneered. Needless to say, it would definitely be Xingqian from Misty Peak. Apart from him, would the other 2 have any chance of winning? As for the battle servant, he wouldn't be a match for a holy king. As for the black-robed man, he was extremely mysterious. However, young Master Xingqian wouldn't let him off. Let me go first. As Xue Qi's voice echoed out, a person came to the arena. It was the black-robed man. Xingqian furrowed his brows. Who is this person? He unexpectedly dared to steal my limelight. In all honesty, he had wanted to go first because he didn't want any undue delay. But now, the black-robed man had already gone up, and it was too late for him to say anything. I want to see what kind of power you have to dare to steal from me. Xingqian sneered coldly. Xue Qi's expression was ice-cold as she looked at the black-robed man. This black-robed man was extremely mysterious and strange. She must be careful. She couldn't lose this battle, and she couldn't afford to lose it. However, it was fortunate that she was now the Nine tribe's inheritor. Her power was greater than before. She waved her hand, and a blue sword appeared in her hand. Black frost started spreading out from the sword. She was really a peerless fairy. When Shwet-chi used her laws, the eyes of the black-robed man opposite her shone brightly. With a stomp of his foot, he rushed back like lightning. Chapter 4473. The black-robed man was quite swift, and he tore through the void and arrived in front of Shwet-chi. A gale swept out, and his palm descended mercilessly. Bang! The void in all directions was shattered by the palm, and the spectators in the vicinity felt an indescribable pressure. All of this showed how terrifying this strike was. This was a Saint King's all-out strike, and it was obvious that the black-robed man wanted to end the battle quickly. Xingqian took a deep breath, and he couldn't help but get worried. The black-robed man's power was beyond his imagination, and he wondered whether Shwet-chi could block him. If she was defeated, it would be difficult to resolve the situation. He was so quick. Shwet-chi was surprised, and she slashed out with her blue sword. She managed to block the black-robed man's palm. When the two weapons collided, it was as if a saint weapon had collided, and the power that erupted out was like the sun. So strong, this person's physique is actually so tyrannical. Shwet-chi was surprised. Black frost erupted out of her sword, and it swept toward the black-robed man's palm. It quickly froze it and sealed it in ice. The black-robed man's body was quite powerful, but her ice was even more terrifying. Crack! Crack! In the twinkling of an eye, the black-robed man's palm was covered by black frost, and the frost even spread toward his body. The black-robed man's pupils contracted. The frost made him feel like his arm was about to shatter. The power of the laws in his body started circulating, and it became extremely slow. Hateful! The black-robed man roared as he punched the black-robed man's arm with his other hand. The black-robed man's arm cracked open, and the frost shattered. At the same time, the black-robed man lashed out with his foot, which seemed like a heavenly blade. Shwet-chi retreated quickly, and she didn't resist the terrifying power contained within the kick. As she retreated, boundless black, frost formed a pair of black wings on her back. The wings unfolded, and as they fluttered, the whole sky was filled with frost. The frost was formed by the Nine body, and it was much more powerful than ordinary frost. It was even more terrifying than the mysterious ice art. When the black frost appeared, the expressions of everyone present changed drastically. They all felt like their bodies and souls were about to be sealed in ice. How could this frost be so terrifying? He had just become a Saint King, so his power shouldn't be so terrifying. The Paradise's experts were all startled. Even Xian Hai was startled. This isn't right, as this isn't the mysterious ice art's power. He also cultivated the profound ice incantation, so he was naturally very clear about this kind of power. Therefore, he looked at Black Ice Ancestor in confusion. Black Ice Ancestor, as the creator of the Black Ice technique, also shook her head. That's right, this was not the power of the Black Ice extinction. However, it was much stronger than the Black Ice tactics. It was obvious that Qi had obtained some kind of good fortune in the Land of Frost. Father, what do you think of this battle? Xian Hai asked nervously. Black Ice Ancestor's eyes flickered. I was worried before. After all, Qi had just broken through and her realm was not stable. But now, after seeing the Black Frost, I was relieved. Qi had won this battle. Sure enough, the sky was filled with ice. The black-robed man's expression changed. The threat of the ice caused his heart to beat wildly. Moreover, he had come here in disguise, so it was impossible for him to use his most proficient divine ability. Otherwise, his identity would be exposed in an instant. At that time, he would end up in a miserable state. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy, and his eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying radiance. Endless precepts gathered in his hand, forming a flower of the great path. Then a cold voice sounded. Wither. The flower of the great path quickly withered, and a gloomy aura swept out in all directions. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. What kind of power was this? It was so terrifying. It could take away all life. Lin Xian also frowned. It was similar to his death precepts. It was indeed a very dangerous divine ability. Xue Qi also felt it, and the black wings on her back released ice that blocked everything. The world was frozen. Endless black runes appeared on her body, and they emitted a mysterious aura. At this moment, the ice was even more terrifying. It was as if she had turned into an ice god, and it swept out in all directions. The world was frozen, and the surroundings were sealed in ice. The black-robed man's precepts froze in the void, and endless ice appeared on his body. In the end, he had no choice but to escape with his soul, which was why he was not sealed in ice. However, his body had already been sealed in the arena. The black-robed man smiled bitterly. I admit defeat. Xue Qi waved her hand, and the ice in the sky disappeared. The black-robed man's soul and body recovered, and he walked out of the arena. Soon after, he tore open the void and disappeared. What a powerful ice! Is this the black ice tactics? Many people cried out in alarm. The people in the vicinity were all dumbfounded. Xue Qi's power was beyond their expectations. Even some of the veteran saints were surprised. Xue Qi's power didn't seem like someone who had just made a breakthrough. The Ethereal Peaks people smiled, and Xingqian nodded. It was his turn to fight. He would defeat Xue Qi personally and then marry her. Hateful! Yan Emo frowned, and his expression became gloomy. The Holy Heaven's old ancestor also frowned, as he was the one who had sent this person. He had thought that defeating Xue Qi wouldn't be a problem. However, Xue Qi's frost technique was beyond his expectations. She wasn't using the frost technique, and this was why his plan had failed. On the other side, the black ice ancestor transmitted her voice to Higher. Hi. Go and ask someone to follow the black-robed man. I suspect that someone is secretly attacking him. Xian Hai nodded and sent someone to follow the black-robed man. Xingqian walked down from the arena. He wore armor, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like a young war god, and many people looked up to him. Cheer, don't worry. I won't injure you in this battle. Xingqian came to the arena and said with a smile. Xue Qi snorted coldly. Please call me by my name. I don't know you that well. Moreover, you won't be able to win this battle. Xue Qi snorted coldly, and she waved the long sword in her hand, causing black ice to sweep out once again. Qi! Let me show you my Star Clan's secret technique. Starlight illuminates the heavens, and Earth. Xingqian roared, and the mountains shook. The heavens collapsed, and the earth cracked. Boundless starlight rushed out of his body, and it illuminated the 9 heavens. It turned into terrifying sword energy, and it descended from the sky. The starlight and the ice collided, and it seemed like 2 worlds were fighting. Countless cracks spread out in all directions. Xingqian is so powerful. He is even more terrifying than the black-robed man. He wondered if Xue Qi would be able to resist it. She definitely can't. She is destined to become Xingqian's woman. The Ethereal Peaks people sneered coldly. They were very confident in Xingqian's strength. Ice Seal. Xue Qi was like an ice goddess, and she used her ice power to freeze the entire world. The starlight in the sky was also sealed in the air. Dugaju was surprised. He knew that the Star Clan starlight was extremely terrifying, and ordinary ice couldn't resist it. Even the ice tactics wouldn't be able to seal it. What kind of inheritance did Xue Qi use? Why did it shock him? Chapter 4474. Xingqian was also taken aback. She's really worthy of being my woman. She's really powerful. When the time comes, we will get married and join forces. We will surely be able to sweep the whole world." Even though his magical power was sealed by ice, Xingqian was still calm and confident. He formed a seal with his palms and shot out a Milky Way shadow. Countless starlight revolved around it, and it seemed like a starry sky was pressing down. The Milky Way shadow shattered the ice and frost that filled the sky. The boundless power contained within it was extremely terrifying. The Milky Way seal pressed down from the sky. Wherever it passed, the black ice and frost would shatter. However, when it came close to Xueqi, the Milky Way seal was blocked. It seemed like it couldn't advance any further. When the Misty Peaks members saw this, they furrowed their brows. The ice was really strange. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. It seemed like Xueqi had just gotten the 9 yin inheritance. Otherwise, it would be easy for her to seal Xingqian with her sage realm cultivation and the 9 yin inheritance. After Xueqi blocked the Milky Way seal, she started to counterattack. Countless black ice and frost turned into a rain of arrows that flew out and penetrated the sky. The Milky Way shadow was sealed. Moreover, the rain of arrows flew toward Xingqian. It seemed like it wanted to seal him as well. The armor on Xingqian's body shone brightly as he formed a seal with his palms and roared toward the sky. A Milky Way appeared on his body, and it revolved around him. Boom! 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 The black ice and frost that filled the sky bombarded the Milky Way shadow, and a terrifying sound echoed out. The Milky Way shadow shook, but it didn't shatter. What a powerful defense! The 1,000 Mountain Paradises members exclaimed in surprise. The Milky Way shadow was too terrifying, and it seemed like it could block everything. The other Paradises members were also surprised. Xueqi was already in an invincible position. They wondered how Xueqi would continue to fight. Lin Xian furrowed his brows, and a golden radiance appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. It seemed like Xingqian would suffer a loss. He discovered that even though the ice and frost that filled the sky was blocked, it was still arranged in a certain way. Even though it was quite well hidden, as an expert of formations, he was able to discover it in an instant. The 2 black wings on Xueqi's back turned into ice frost swords and flew out. In the end, the black wings and the Milky Way and Xueqi. So after passing through countless layers of frost, the starry river became dim and lightless. Then it cracked open. However, Stardust laughed loudly as he walked out. He realized that his opponent's ice attack had been completely blocked. It seemed like Xueqi had consumed a lot of her energy to cast such a magical ability. Therefore, it was time for him to counterattack. The Milky Way seal appeared in his hand again, and he waved it forward. The Milky Way seal blossomed with radiance, and the power that erupted from it was incomparable. It seemed to be even stronger than before. This Stardust had been fighting for so long, yet he still had such strength. Could it be that he had been hiding his strength before? Countless cries of surprise rang out. They knew that Xueqi was in danger. However, at this moment, a smile appeared on Xueqi's pale face. She formed a seal with her palm. The formation was activated. With a bellow, the scattered frost in the surroundings suddenly began to revolve, emanating a brilliant glow as it formed a massive formation that shrouded the entire area. The Icebound Array. As soon as it was formed, the terrifying ice completely enveloped the Stardust. Stardust let out a crazy roar. The armor on his body became dim in an instant. It seemed like he was going to be completely frozen. It was unexpectedly a formation. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying formation. When did he set it up? The people in the surroundings were all dumbfounded. Why didn't they discover it before? The pupils of the Ethereal Peaks people also contracted. Duguju's eyes shone with a cold light as he realized that this was the case. After thinking about it for a moment, he discovered that the icy arrow rain wasn't just a powerful magical ability attack, but it also contained the power of a formation. After the attack was destroyed, the array formation quietly condensed again. He had long heard that Xueqi wasn't just an apex expert, but she was also an expert in formations. Now, it seemed like the rumors weren't false. It seemed like Stardust had been careless. However, with Stardust's trump card, he shouldn't lose. Stardust's expression became ice-cold, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. Hateful. He unexpectedly used a formation to attack me. He was completely infuriated. As a roar echoed out, starlight rushed out of his body. A stardust stone was formed between his eyebrows, and it blossomed with an unparalleled radiance. It seemed like he had turned into the brightest star in the world. As the power in his body erupted, it swept out in all directions and tore a crack in the formation. He became even stronger. Many people cried out in alarm. The formation's terror had already made them despair. They hadn't expected that he would be able to break through the formation's restraint. Everything had come to an end. Stardust flew out of the formation's crack and charged toward Xueqi. He stretched out a finger, which was surrounded by a ray of starlight. It was the Star Spirit Finger. It was said that this finger could shatter the boundless starry sky, and it was one of the ethereal peak's most terrifying magical abilities. They hadn't expected that he would actually use it at this moment. The battle had come to an end. A smile appeared on Duguju's face. Mo Fan and the others from the ethereal peak also smiled. They had won. The other people also sighed. Even though they had been defeated by such a magical ability, it was still an honorable defeat. Xueqi took a deep breath. She could clearly sense how terrifying this finger was. However, she wouldn't lose. In the next moment, her body kept changing, and she left behind countless ice-cold afterimages as she extended her jade-like hands. 9 in Divine Claw. Buzz! 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 A terrifying black shadow streaked across the sky, and a roar echoed out as Stardust flew out. Scratches appeared on his body, and his body was penetrated. Fresh blood instantly flowed out of his body. What happened? Everyone was startled. Duguju stood up, and a terrifying radiance burst out of his eyes, which seemed capable of penetrating the heavens and the earth. Yuehua, Mo Fan, and the others were also startled. Was the Star Spirit Finger broken? What was that black shadow a moment ago? What is this? The Thousand Mountain Caves elders were also startled. Even the 2 old ancestors furrowed their brows. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. Could it be the 9 in Divine Claw's most powerful technique? He had obtained the 9 Sons' Divine Claw's inheritance, and he knew that it wasn't as simple as just the divine body. There were also some terrifying, powerful techniques. It seemed like the technique that Xueqi had just used was one of those techniques. You have lost. Xueqi withdrew her palm and spoke coldly. On the other side, Stardust, who had fallen below the arena, couldn't believe what had happened. How is this possible? He had been defeated. He had become a Saint King 3 years ago, and he had practiced the Ethereal Peak's cultivation techniques. How could he have been defeated? Stardust gritted his teeth and roared. He had just stood up, but the wounds on his body suddenly opened up. His face turned pale, and he couldn't use his power. Not only had he been injured, but his wounds also contained a powerful ice-cold aura that froze the laws and meridians in his body. His internal organs had been injured, and if he didn't recover in time, his foundation would be damaged. Chapter 4475. Wang. Duguju took a step forward and arrived before Xingqian. He looked at Xingqian and checked his injuries. Then his face turned cold. It was even more serious than he had imagined. He made his move, striking out with the power of laws. At the same time, he took out a secret pill. Quickly bring him back to rest. Mo Fan and the others quickly helped Xingqian to his feet and brought him to the side. Dugawuji asked coldly as he looked at Xueqi. What cultivation technique did Xueqi use a moment ago? It did not seem to be a martial art from the Thousand Mountain Cave. The others were also puzzled and looked over. Xueqi said that she had gone to the cold mountain before, and she had obtained some good fortune there. Since the Misty Peak has many abilities, they shouldn't be interested in my little summoning. Stardust has already lost. I think he no longer has the qualifications to marry me. Xueqi looked at Dugaju. Dugaju's face darkened. The surrounding people also held their breaths, not daring to say anything. After a while, Dugaju finally spoke. But of course, the people of Ethereal Peak were true to their words. Since they had lost, they had lost. Puff! Xing Qin, who was in the midst of recuperating from his injuries, spurted a mouthful of blood upon hearing those words, and his face turned incomparably pale. Damn it! This time he really lost all his face. However, he swore that next time he would definitely defeat her and marry her. Who would have thought that young noble Stardust would fail? That's right, it seems like the groom selection competition has come to an end. No one could marry Fairy Xueqi. I'm guessing that young Master Stardust will definitely make a comeback next time. Sighs could be heard, as everyone seemed to have forgotten about Lin Xian's existence. It was as if Stardust's failure was the end. At this moment, Xueqi said, "You seem to have forgotten a person. I will challenge the third person." Is there anyone else? Right, it's that battle servant. Even young Master Stardust had been defeated. How could he possibly succeed? That's right, going up there would only be suicide. The people of Ethereal Peak shook their heads. The people from the other heavenly abodes were also surprised. They couldn't understand why Fairy Xueqi was so persistent. Could it be that she thought highly of this battle servant? The elders of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven naturally thought of this as well. They felt that it was a fantasy. Xian Hai said, there's no need for a battle servant. You can't say that. Since he's already here, I'll give him a chance. The Yen Mo also laughed coldly. The people they had secretly sent had failed. However, this Lin Xian seemed to have a good understanding of formations. Perhaps he would be able to achieve unexpected results. Damn it! Xian Hai gritted his teeth. On the ground, Xueqi looked at Lin Xian and said, "Come up. Let's fight the final battle." Lin Xian stood up and walked forward. He came to the arena and ignored the gazes of the others. Lin Xian said as he looked ahead, "Bring out your full strength. I won't hold back either." He was looking forward to the battle between the 9 Yin and 9 Yang. What kind of scene would it be? Xueqi nodded. In the next moment, the 9 Yin body was activated and endless black frost appeared on her body. On the other side, Lin Xian roared at the sky. The 9 Suns' divine flame appeared on his body, and a scorching aura swept out in all directions. Half of the sky was instantly covered. What kind of aura was that? So valiant. The crowd was disdainful at first, but when they felt the aura of that power, they were stunned. They were all stunned. This person's physique was too unusual. He had mastered some kind of ancient body-refining technique. Countless people were shocked. The elders were also stunned. Duguju's eyes shone with a cold light. The 2 great sages were equally astonished. Why was this battle servant so strange? Black Ice Ancestor frowned. The Holy Heavens Ancestor, who was beside her, smiled. He wanted to see the scene after the victory. "Be careful, I'm going to attack with my full strength," Lin Xian said in a low voice. Then he stomped his foot and charged forward. He didn't use any laws or magical powers. He only used the power of his divine body to attack. His fist seemed to have turned into a sun, and it swept across the sky, shattering the void. On the other side, Xueqi also attacked, and her black palm struck out. Boom! 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 The confrontation between the 2's physiques was extremely strong. Cracks appeared on the entire arena, which shocked the crowd. Nothing happened when they fought with Xingqian. However, at this moment the arena was shattered. It was unbelievable. Boundless ice appeared on Lin Xian's body and froze him. The 9 suns' divine fire swept across and melted the black ice. Not only that, but the flames also enveloped Xueqi. The black wings on her back blocked the flames. However, she had just obtained the 9ing body. Her physique was no match for Lin Xian's. However, her cultivation was much higher than Lin Xian's. She was a saint ruler. Therefore, they were evenly matched. Buzz. Lin Xian seemed to have turned into a sun god of war. His golden fist was invincible. The people in the surrounding heavens were dumbfounded. The geniuses in the heavens felt despair. Is he really just a battle servant? Why do I feel like he has surpassed us? They all lowered their heads in front of such power. Is this guy really so strong? Mo Fan and the others from the Misty Peak felt their scalps go numb. Mo Fan was furious when he was defeated, and he wanted to take revenge. He thought it was because he was careless. However, after witnessing this battle, he didn't want to take revenge anymore. He reckoned that he wouldn't be able to withstand even a single punch from such a terrifying attack. On the other side, Xueqi's body was encircled by ice, and she seemed like an ice goddess. She opened a world of ice and frost. As soon as the fist entered her ice domain, it slowed down. Bang! Their fists and palms collided, and a deafening sound echoed out. The universal laws turned into divine chains that tore apart the sky. They exchanged hundreds of blows, and everything in their path was shattered. The crowd was shocked by this. Be careful, as I'm about to use my ultimate attack. Xueqi warned him as she used the 9-yin divine claw. A black shadow streaked across the sky, and Lin Xian felt like his body was being attacked violently. It was as if a sacred weapon had struck his body, and he felt like his body was about to be torn apart. He roared as the 9 suns opened the sky. He opened his palms and tore apart the void. The sky and earth were instantly split open, and a large crack extended into the distance. At this moment he attacked forcefully, and the black shadow that filled the sky was instantly torn apart. Not good. The strongest absolute art was actually broken. The people from the 1,000-mountain wonderland cried out in alarm. It was this attack that had defeated Xingqian. However, it couldn't do anything to Lin Xian now. Is Xueqi going to be defeated? Lin Xian waved his fists, which carried an invincible aura. At this moment, his divine body emitted a dazzling light, and when he waved his 9 fists, the sky and earth were shattered. Nothing could stop him. Xueqi could only defend herself passively. 9 layers of ice formed on her body to block his attacks. In the end, the ice that filled the sky was shattered and she was knocked back. Her face was pale. Xueqi had been defeated. Many people were shocked, and Xianhai and the others stood up in disbelief. Chapter 44-76. How is this possible? The Misty Peak was stupefied. Xingqian even spouted a mouthful of blood. No, he roared crazily. No one had expected such an outcome. Xueqi had been defeated. Moreover, the victor was a battle servant. Are you all right? Lin Xian looked at Xueqi, who was below the arena, and asked concernedly. Xueqi shook her head and said, I'm all right. Your body is really strong, and I will surely catch up to you one day. She revealed a beautiful smile. Soon after, she said, since you have one, you will be my husband from now on. Her voice was like 10,000 claps of thunder, and it stunned everyone. Xianhai jumped out and said, I don't agree. Xingqian also roared, I also don't agree. How can you marry a battle servant? No way, am I dreaming? Damn it. Is Xueqi really going to marry a battle servant? Is this a joke? The people in the surroundings went into an uproar. The 1,000-mountain paradises people went crazy. If this matter spread, they would lose all face. Xueqi said coldly, Why can't I? I said that I will marry anyone who defeats me. Now Lin Xian defeated me, so I must fulfill my promise. I don't believe that you didn't want to marry me, and that's why you came up with such a plan. You lost to him on purpose. Xing Qin roared. He couldn't accept this. That's right, we also found it suspicious. Qi, you can't be weaker than him. What, do you want to go back on your word? Do you want to go back on your word in front of everyone? Lin Xian laughed loudly and looked at Xing Qin. You don't accept it? Come over and fight me. I will personally show you the disparity between us. Is this guy challenging the Misty Peak? The people in the surroundings felt like they had gone crazy. Xing Chen was so angry that he clenched his teeth and walked over. However, Yu Hua said, No, you just got injured, and your power isn't at its peak. Lad, do you want to take advantage of him? Upon hearing this, Lin Xian laughed heartily. Take advantage of him? He is a saint king, while I am just a saint venerable. We fought fairly, yet you still think that he is at a disadvantage? What a misty peak. It turns out that all of you are so cowardly. Fine, I will fight you with one hand. Do you dare to come over? At this moment, Lin Xian was like a peerless overlord, smiling proudly in all directions. You're courting death. I will kill you with my own hands. Stardust was completely enraged. He was a peerless heaven's favorite who was above the grotto heavens. Now that he was being challenged by a battle servant, how could he not fight? His figure flickered, and he flew out. Speaking of which, come on, brat. I will let you know the consequences of offending me. With one hand behind his back, Lin Xian said, I'll give you a handicap with one hand. Otherwise, you people from the Misty Peak will think that I'm taking advantage of your precarious situation. Xing Chen snorted coldly. He didn't say anything else and directly attacked. Galaxy Seal. He formed a seal with his palm and struck out. A river of stars condensed in his palm. With a single strike, it tore through the heavens and earth. Stardust didn't hold anything back in this attack. Lin Xian attacked with a single hand. His palm formed a seal, and the man-ruler seal also struck out. At this moment, he was incomparably domineering, as if a celestial emperor had descended. Boom! Their superpowers collided in the air. With a crack, the galaxy seal shattered. The man-ruler seal swept out with the momentum of Mount Tai. Boom! Xing Chen's face changed drastically, and he frantically retreated. In an instant, his arm was broken and turned into a blood mist. Half of his body was completely shattered, and he flew out. He lost. In just one move, Xing Chen was seriously injured. Could it be that the gap between the two of them was really that big? Xing Chen roared to the sky, I'm going to kill you. His glabella split open, and a wisp of starlight surrounded his finger. Star Spirit Finger. With a point of his finger, it tore through the void with a supreme aura. Lin Xian snorted coldly and struck out with the man-ruler seal again. That terrifying palm made the heavens and earth shatter again. After one strike, the Star Spirit Finger turned into ashes. Xing Chen's body was torn into pieces. His crazy roar made everyone's scalp tingle. The people from the Misty Peak were stunned. This guy really defeated Xing Chen with one hand. Why? Do you still think you're qualified to compete with me? Lin Xian looked at him with disdain. You. Xing Chen was so angry that he vomited blood. Lin Xian said, I've already given you a handicap with one hand, and you're only a saint venerable. Are you still using your injuries as an excuse? If you're not convinced, I'll give you time to recover to your peak. But when the time comes, I'll fight you to the death. Do you dare? Xing Chen was completely stunned, and he fainted from anger. His senior brother, Yu Hua, and the others also rushed over. You're courting death. Yu Hua waved her hand, and a flying sword like a rainbow streaked across the sky. This was a sage artifact, and Yu Hua was at the peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His 5 fingers formed a claw and directly grabbed the flying sword. Then he enveloped it. With a crack, the illusion of a huge mountain appeared on his palm as if it had crossed time and space. Mountain embracing seal. It directly broke the flying sword into two. Yu Hua vomited blood and flew backward. Her sage artifact was broken, and she was also seriously injured. His 5 fingers opened, and the broken flying sword fell from his palm. Lin Xian looked around like a supreme god. Who else was not convinced? Come out. At this moment, he was so strong that ethereal peak could not raise their heads. Everyone was stunned and silent. Duguju's face was as cold as water. This time he had really lost face. I'm not convinced. Xian Hai walked out. You're just a battle servant. What qualifications do you have to marry my daughter? What qualifications do I have? Lin Xian sneered. I've won. Can't you see it? I defeated Xing Qin single-handedly. Are you blind? What qualifications do you think I have? I'm honest. Strength is my qualification. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and he did not back down. You're courting death. Xian Hai snorted. Where's the 3-eyed elder? In the distance, a woman flew over. She was wearing a Taoist robe and had a 3rd eye between her brows. At this moment, she looked at Lin Xian and sighed. You're a top genius in other worlds. But here, you're still just a battle servant. So what if you win? Kneel down. The 3rd eye between her brows bloomed and formed a divine light that pierced through Lin Xian. The others were in despair. This guy's fate was really tragic. They were afraid that he would be completely suppressed. Lin Xian sneered and waved his hand, shattering the divine light. You want me to kneel down? Just you? How is that possible? The 3-eyed elder was stunned. You're not affected? He used the life and death curse. But Lin Xian stood there with a cold face. He was not affected at all. How did you break the life and death curse? Lin Xian did not reply. He stood there with his hands behind his back as if he was going to be the enemy of the entire world. Damn it. Men, take him down. Xian Hai shouted angrily when he saw this. Countless Saint Kings in the surroundings stood up. So what if he was strong? Could he fight against the entire Grotto Heaven? At this moment, the sagely heaven's old ancestor snorted. Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Xian Hai, since Xue Qi set the rules herself, you have to follow them. Otherwise, what will the world think of our 1,000-mountain Grotto Heaven? Chapter 4477. That's right. Elder Xian Hai, you went back on your words. What do you think of 1,000-mountain grotto? Yan Mo also sneered. The 2 of them were also shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to win. Since that was the case, they would go with the flow. This way, Black Ice Ancestor would not be able to work with Misty Peak. To them, this was simply great news. They were naturally happy to see this happen. Xian Hai was about to vomit blood. The other party was an ancestor. He did not dare to go against him. He could only look at his father. Black Ice Ancestor's face was cold. This matter was too strange. This kid was not controlled by the life and death curse. I suspect that Xue Qi was deceived by him. He looked at Duguju and said, Taoist Dugu, I've let you see a joke. However, I will give you a satisfactory explanation. After saying that, he stood up and looked around. Everyone, the martial arts competition has ended. 1,000-mountain grotto has something to deal with. I hope you can make it easy for us. The people of the other Grotto Heavens and ancient race felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They stood up and took their leave one after another. At the same time, they looked at Lin Xian with pity. This kid, so what if he won? He was still going to die. Just as everyone was about to leave, a cold snort sounded. Humph! 1,000-mountain grotto, you have made me lose. Everyone was stunned. Who dared to challenge 1,000-mountain grotto at this time? Xian Hai was also angry. Who was so courting death? Before he finished speaking, he was stunned. He realized that the person who spoke was Jian Wuk. Jian Wuk stood up and smiled. I said it. Do you have a problem with that? Xian Hai was sweating profusely. He did not dare to speak. Black Ice Ancestor frowned. Taoist Wuk, what do you mean? Jian Wuk said proudly. My meaning is clear. This young man defeated a sacred king with one hand as a sacred venerate. He was a heaven-defying expert. Even in Misty Peak, there were not many people with such talent. But you want to be a battle servant? And you want to destroy him? How stupid! If Thousand Mountain Grotto does not want such a genius, then Shantian Pavilion will. Jian Wuk's words resounded in the surroundings. When the surrounding people heard this, they were all stunned. As for the sacred kings, their pupils constricted. Shantian Pavilion. This name was so familiar, it was like a thunderclap reverberating in his ears, because it was also a force that was not weaker than the Misty Peak. The only difference was that Ethereal Peak controlled this region, while Shantian Pavilion was the overlord of another region. He just didn't expect that the people from Shantian Pavilion would actually come here this time. And he even said such words. Xueqi stood there and looked at Lin Xian, who was standing proudly in front of her. She heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was extremely nervous just now. If the Heavenly Grotto had made a move, she would have risked everything to fight against Lin Xian, or even leave this place. Who would have thought that, in the end, the Shantian Pavilion's people would actually stand up and think so highly of Lin Xian? In the Black Sea, Yen Emo was stunned. Even the two patriarchs were stunned. Did Shantian Pavilion think highly of him? Truth be told, it wasn't that they didn't know that Zhang Xian was a genius, but they were used to being high and mighty. It was only natural that they would find it intolerable to be injured by an ant in their eyes. So what if he was a genius? They would still trample him to death. But now, Shantian Pavilion's words shocked them. If Shantian Pavilion made a move to protect Lin Xian, they wouldn't dare to make a move. At this moment, Dugu Ju stood up. Taoist Wuk, I don't agree with your words. This young man is a peerless genius, but Ethereal Peak is filled with talents. There are too many people who can surpass him. Too many? Jian Wuk sneered. Then you better find one for me now. With the cultivation of a saint venerable who could compete with him, then I will leave Shantian Pavilion. Dugu Ju didn't say anything. To be honest, he really couldn't find one. A half-step Saint King with a Saint King's weapon could at most compete with a Saint King. It was too difficult to defeat a Saint King, not to mention a Saint Venerable defeating a Saint King with his bare hands. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Seeing that Zhang Xian was silent, Jian Wuk sneered. Then he turned his head and asked, Little fellow, are you willing to join Shantian Pavilion? Lin Xian raised his head and looked at Jian Wuk. He cupped his fists and said, Thank you, senior. I am willing. Although Lin Xian didn't know Jian Wuk, he could feel Jian Wuk's kindness. This was completely different from the holy heavens old ancestor helping him. Good. Jian Wuk laughed and took out a token. This was the Shantian token. From now on, you are a disciple of Shantian Pavilion. The people in the surrounding grottos were all stunned. Some of the geniuses' eyes turned red. A disciple of Shantian Pavilion. This was the same as joining Ethereal Peak. This was their lifelong wish and dream. They had worked hard for their entire lives and still hadn't achieved this goal. Now, Jian Wuk had become a member of Shantian Pavilion so easily. Even Xian Hai's pupils shrank. This meant that Jian Wuk's status was different. Jian Wuk laughed. Why, now that I am a member of Shantian Pavilion, I am qualified to marry Xueqi, right? What? Xian Hai was stunned. Elder Xianbing also sighed. He closed his eyes and said helplessly yes. Then he looked at Dugu Ju. Brother Dugu, it seems like Xueqi and young Master Xingqian aren't fated to be together. I will return all the gifts you gave me. After this matter, I will personally go to Ethereal Peak and apologize. Duguju snorted and waved his hand. The laws in the sky brought Xingqian Yuhua and the others into the sky and left. Today was too embarrassing. Ethereal Peak was defeated by a battle servant to the point where they couldn't raise their heads. They didn't have the face to stay here anymore. Very good. Then let's start preparing. I still want to attend the wedding. Jian Wuk laughed. Black Ice Old Ancestor said, Brother Wuk, you must be joking. Although I have acknowledged the relationship between the two of them, the wedding isn't something that can be held in a day. Our 1,000 mountain grottos needs to prepare well. All right, I will wait. Don't make Xiantian Pavilion wait for too long, Jian Wuk said coldly. Then he looked at Lin Xian. Kid, report to Xiantian Pavilion when you are free. Your token is a symbol of your identity. When you are in danger, you can use the array on the token to call for help from Xiantian Pavilion. Xiantian Pavilion will immediately send experts over. I want to see who dares to go against Xiantian Pavilion. His last words were for Black Ice Old Ancestor and 1,000 Mountain Grottos. Indeed, the people from 1,000 Mountain Grottos felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to fight against such a terrifying existence. Jian Wuk left, but the matter didn't seem to have stopped. After the people from the other grottos left, the news spread throughout the world. Countless people were shocked. They didn't expect the marriage by joust to be such a thing. They thought of countless possibilities. They even thought that the final winner would be Ethereal Peak. But things were out of their expectations. A battle servant had actually won and become a disciple of the Xiantian Pavilion. Chapter 4478. For a time, many people were shocked and envious. It could be said that everyone in the world was talking about this matter. In the Misty Peak, Xingqian and the others had become the target of ridicule. In the Star Pavilion, Xingqian was roaring crazily as the mountains were shattered. He was so angry that he went crazy. Lin Xian, I don't care who you are. I want you to die. I will make you die without a burial place. Xingqian's anger was burning. On the other side, in the 1,000 Mountain Cave, the atmosphere was also very strange. In the Dark Ice Palace, Black Ice Ancestor and Xian Hai were in the palace, and the atmosphere was silent. Xian Hai was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Father, what should we do next? Should we let this kid be with Xueqi? Of course not. Black Ice Ancestor's eyes were also shining with a terrifying light. Even if he is talented, so what? Even if he becomes a disciple of the Dark Sky Pavilion, so what? No matter how strong he is, he can't compete with the Star Tribe. Although Xingqian was defeated, he is still a member of the Star Tribe. You know how terrifying the Star Tribe is in Ethereal Peak. I don't think I need to tell you. No matter how strong this kid is, his background is too weak. We won't choose him. However, we don't have to oppose him because we will offend the Dark Sky Pavilion. We will think of a way to send Xueqi to the Misty Peak to cultivate. In this way, the two of them will separate. When Xueqi sees how strong the Star Tribe is, she will change her mind. However, before that, I have to go to the Misty Peak and apologize to them personally. In the Divine Heaven Pavilion, the Divine Heaven Old Ancestor and Yan Mo were also together. Yan Mo said with a smile, although this matter was unexpected, Xingqian didn't marry Xueqi. Yes, the Divine Heaven Old Ancestor nodded. Although this kid is strange, things are going according to our plan. However, I guess that Black Ice Ancestor will find a way to contact the Misty Peak. It seems like I have to go to the Misty Peak. The two great saints were preparing to take action secretly. On the other side, Xueqi and Lin Xian were very relaxed. Without any worries, the two of them returned to their mansion. Only Lin Xian and Xueqi were here. This was why Xueqi didn't put on an iceberg appearance and a beautiful smile appeared on her face. "Husband, how are you going to compensate me for injuring me earlier?" Lin Xian smiled and said, "Then let's do it again. Let's see if your 9 body is more powerful than my 9 divine body." He took Xueqi with him and walked into the hall. The two great physiques merged perfectly once again. In the following days, Lin Xian and Xueqi were together, and many people were envious of them. On this day, Xueqi and Lin Xian were quickly walking toward a mountain peak. The 1,000-mountain cave, as its name suggested, had many peaks, and one of them was called the First Peak. The First Peak contained an unparalleled spiritual pulse. The benefits one could obtain from cultivating here were undeniably huge. Only those with extraordinary status could come here. Xueqi possessed such a status. On this day, she and Lin Xian turned into streaks of light and landed on the First Peak. Stop! From inside, 3 figures walked out in an instant and shouted coldly. These 3 people were all Saint Kings, and they were in charge of guarding the First Peak. "It's me." Xueqi took out a badge. The 3 Saint Kings said, "Greetings, Princess Xueqi. You haven't cultivated here for a long time." Xueqi nodded. "My palace is still there, right? Bring me there." After she spoke, she started walking forward. The 3 Saint Kings in front of her also opened up a path for her. However, when they saw that Lin Xian was about to follow her into the First Peak, they walked out again and blocked his path. "You can't go in." Lin Xian furrowed his brows, while Xueqi's expression became gloomy. "Do you dare to block my path?" "Princess Xueqi, I don't think I need to explain how important the First Peak is. Only certain people can enter it. You are qualified. However, this guy isn't qualified." The 3 Saint Kings' expressions were ice cold, and their faces were filled with killing intent as they stared at Lin Xian. Xueqi snorted coldly. "Who said that he isn't qualified? He's my husband. Do you think that he's qualified?" The 3 Saint Kings' expressions changed drastically. They had been guarding the First Peak all this time, and they didn't know much about what had happened outside. They only knew that something had happened during Xueqi's contest for a spouse. However, they didn't expect that this person was Xueqi's husband. The 3 Saint Kings' expressions became gloomy. Xueqi asked once again, "Is my husband not qualified to enter it?" "Do you want me to ask the ancestor?" The 3 Saint Kings' expressions changed drastically, and the one leading them said, "Please come in." The 3 Saint Kings opened up a path for them. Xueqi and Lin Xian walked into the First Peak. After they entered, Lin Xian felt that the power here was much stronger than outside, as expected of the 1,000-mountain paradise. Moreover, it was the 1,000-mountain paradise's First Peak. Cultivating here could greatly shorten the time needed to make a breakthrough. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He said that he felt that he could make a breakthrough here and reach the peak of the Saint Venerable realm. There weren't many people inside, and it seemed like this place wasn't a place that anyone could enter. When they went up, they encountered a group of people. It was a tall man who walked with a majestic gait and had a small mustache. He had a mustache, and there was an old man next to him. As they walked over, they saw Xueqi. The tall man stopped and smiled. "Sister Xueqi, long time no see. Senior brother Yan Hua." Xueqi nodded. Lin Xian raised his brows. Yan Hua? Could this person be from the Yan family too? It seemed like he was related to Yan Jiu. Yan Hua looked at Lin Xian and said, "Is this person the husband that Sister Xueqi chose? It's not that I want to criticize you, but even if my brother Yan Jiu is dead, you shouldn't have chosen such an aunt." "My choice has nothing to do with you," Xueqi said coldly. At this moment, the old man next to her smiled. "Princess Xueqi, our young master is doing this for your own good." Lin Xian frowned and looked at him. He said coldly, "You are just a servant. Do you have the right to speak here?" You are courting death." The old man was so angry that his whole body trembled. Although he was just an old servant, his strength had reached the Saint King realm, and his status was extraordinary. Now, the old man dared to reprimand him. He couldn't help but want to kill him. What was more hateful was that this guy was also a battle servant. What right did he have to reprimand him? Yan was sneered. Arrogant, too arrogant. Don't think that just because you are with Xueqi, you have the right to be arrogant in front of me. I remember that you were just a battle servant before. You are just an ant. An ant? Humph! I defeated Xingqian from the Misty Peak. If you say that I am an ant, then what is Xingqian? Doesn't that mean that he is inferior to an ant? I will tell the world tomorrow that young Master Yanhua said that Xingqian is inferior to an ant. Damn it, I didn't say that. Yanhua was instantly angry. If he said that, he would offend the Misty Peak. He didn't dare to do that. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You are as timid as a mouse. If you don't have the courage, then I think you are the ant. Chapter 4479. Xueqi. Your husband has gone too far. Yanhua looked at Xueqi. Xueqi shook her head. I don't think he's wrong. It's you who challenged me first. All right, you've said so much. Don't you just want to attack me? I'll give you the chance. Lin Xian sneered coldly. Both of you come at me together. You don't have the qualifications to make me attack you. Go and teach him a lesson, but don't kill him. Otherwise, Xueqi will be sad. Yan was sneered coldly. The old servant walked over from behind him. Lad, you want me to teach you a lesson? He stretched out his hand, which was surrounded by laws, and it seemed like a cage that descended from the sky. He was a Saint King who had cultivated for a long time. Now that he attacked with his full power, his opponent wouldn't be able to resist him. He wouldn't kill him, but he would break his limbs and teach him a lesson. Xueqi furrowed her brows. This old man was too ruthless. However, she wasn't worried about Lin Xian. Lin Xian was someone who could defeat her, and his body had become even more powerful. Buzz! Lin Xian also punched out, and his fist turned into a sun. Boom! The old servant's hand shook and it shattered. The old man's expression changed drastically. He was so powerful. He quickly retreated. However, it was already too late. Lin Xian attacked him with his palm once again. Since his opponent wanted to kill him, Lin Xian didn't hold back either. His attack engulfed his opponent. Boom! The old man was instantly smashed into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. His shattered body tried to heal, but Lin Xian shot out several rays of sword energy and pierced through him. He was nailed to the mountain peak. Ah! The old servant roared crazily as he couldn't escape. An ant like you, who has lived for several thousand years, is still so weak. Yet you still dare to attack me. I can only say that you don't know the difference between life and death. Lin Xian sneered coldly. He looked at Yanhua and said, Your servant is trash. Why don't you attack him yourself? Yanhua's expression was gloomy. He had wanted to teach his opponent a lesson, but he hadn't expected that his opponent was so powerful. His old servant was a Saint King who had made a name for himself 100 years ago. Yet he still wasn't a match for his opponent. Even if he wanted to make a move, he wasn't confident that he could succeed. So he said, Very good, kid, I'll remember you. Let my men go, I want to leave. You want to leave? Fine, cut off your arms and give me your storage ring. Then I'll spare your life. Lin Xian said. What? Yanhua was instantly enraged. Say that again. The other party actually wanted to hurt him? He even wanted to snatch his storage ring. Did this guy want to die? Lin Xian snorted. What? Don't you understand what I'm saying? Since that's the case, I'll do it myself. With a sweep of his hand, he charged forward. The other party had already made a move on him. So how could he hold back? If this was not the first peak, he would have slapped the other party to death long ago. Lin Xian's palm was as golden as a god and as heavy as a mountain. The void could not withstand it at all. Yan Hu bellowed, shooting out a flaming battle diagram. Divine chains of laws surged out from it to block the attack. But in an instant it shattered. His arms broke, and he let out a painful roar. Lin Xian had no intention of stopping. His palm was like the sky as it pressed down again. Yan, whose body was bent, and with a plop he knelt on the ground. His entire face became ferocious. Damn it, he was going crazy. How could the other party be so powerful? I'll hand over my storage ring and you'll stop. He did not dare to fight again. Lin Xian retracted his palm and sneered. You should have done this earlier. Here. Yan, who took out his storage ring and threw it to Lin Xian. Then he quickly fled with his old servant. He did not leave the first peak immediately. Instead, he went to look for the elders guarding the first peak. After finding them, he said, I'm going to kill that guy. Those elders were also hesitant. One of them said, Young Master Yanhua, we also want to attack him. But Princess Xueqi is by his side, so we can't do it. If we do, we'll break the rules. If the other party catches us, we'll probably be punished. Another elder said, Young Master Yanhua, your sixth uncle is currently cultivating in seclusion in the first peak. If he comes out of seclusion, he'll definitely be able to injure that kid. Really? Sixth uncle is going to break through. Yan, whose eyes lit up. He said, Okay, I'll wait for sixth uncle to break through. Keep an eye on that kid. Don't let him leave. The elders smiled and said, Don't worry, although we can't fight, we can't do anything. Although we can't do anything, we can still find a reason to temporarily seal the first peak. The elders quickly moved and formed a formation to seal the first peak. On the other side, Lin Xian and Xueqi came to a cave abode and began to cultivate. The spiritual energy here was too abundant, and there were mountains of natural treasures around. In addition, Lin Xian had just obtained 2 storage rings from Yanhua. It could be said that the resources here were very abundant. He took out all the natural treasures and then used the great dragon sword soul. The great dragon sword soul quickly devoured them. The spiritual energy and power in the sky turned into a vortex and quickly surged into Lin Xian's body. Xueqi, who was next to him, was also stunned. The absorption of this power was too strong. She didn't dare to. Even if Lin Xian had a divine body, he wouldn't dare to do it. She was really worried about Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian didn't care. The awakening of the great dragon sword soul would require more power every time it leveled up. Now that he had finally found a spirit vein like the first peak, how could he miss it? So much so that the first peak shook violently. What happened? The expressions of the elders of the first peak also changed. Even the people who were cultivating in the other cave abodes were also very confused. They thought that the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. At this moment, the sky darkened and countless lightning bolts gathered. Was he going to break through? They looked into the distance. Yan, who was also happy, that direction was where his sixth uncle was. In other words, his sixth uncle was going to break through. That was great. There was a middle-aged man in the cave in that direction. However, he suddenly opened his eyes. What was going on? The power around him was quickly disappearing. Who was using him? She looked into the distance. At the same time, a formation appeared in Xueqi's cave abode and concealed all information. At this moment, the lightning bolts fell. Lin Xian let out a long roar and fought against them. Boom! 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 The people of the first peak were very quiet. They were all waiting silently. Because of the formation, they didn't know who was breaking through. Yanhua and the others believed that his sixth uncle was breaking through. The elders were also surprised. Was he going to break through to the middle stage of the great Sage King realm? These people were too shocked. Looking at the appearance of the lightning tribulation, It was very terrifying. After waiting for a long time, the lightning bolts that filled the sky disappeared. That was great. He succeeded. Yan Hu was happy. His sixth uncle was going to become a middle stage great sage king. His strength would definitely undergo an earth-shattering change. A middle stage great sage king could kill an early stage great sage king with one punch. He couldn't wait to fly over and wait outside. Chapter 4480. After a short while, the cave opened, and a middle-aged man walked out. Congratulations, sixth uncle, for successfully breaking through and reaching the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Yan Hu quickly bowed. However, the middle-aged man frowned and said, "Who told you that I broke through?" What? Yan Hu was stunned. He looked carefully and found that his sixth uncle was still at the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Although his aura was much stronger than before, his cultivation was not at the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Then who was breaking through? He had seen the lightning strike with his own eyes. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "I don't know. It should be another elder." The middle-aged man was Yan Hua. Confusion appeared in his eyes. Previously, when he was cultivating, he did feel a strange change. Then he asked, "Why did you come to find me?" "Sixth uncle, there is a brat who is too hateful. Help me teach him a lesson." He then recounted the events that had transpired with some embellishment. After Yan Hua heard this, he was furious. "Are you trying to challenge us by acting so recklessly? I want to see what makes him so arrogant." He was already in a bad mood when his cultivation power was taken away by someone else. Now that such a thing had happened, he naturally had to take action. In her opinion, no matter how strong a holy venerate was, could he be stronger than her? On the other side, the array in Xue Qi's cave slowly disappeared. Xue Qi was waiting anxiously. Finally, she saw a figure walk out. Great, he had broken through. She felt that Lin Xian's cultivation had reached the peak of the Holy Venerate realm. He would be a half-step Holy King if he took another step forward. Lin Xian was also very satisfied. He felt that his power had become stronger than before. Now, if he met Xingqian again, he could probably destroy his opponent's astral soul with a slap. "Let's go back," Lin Xian said. This time, the great dragon sword soul had absorbed too much power, causing the power of the first mountain to weaken greatly. It would not be effective if he continued to stay here. Moreover, the changes in the first mountain would definitely be noticed by others. Lin Xian did not want his secret to be discovered. So he prepared to leave. Xue Qi, who was beside him, nodded. The two of them left the cave and walked outside. "Brat, you finally came out. I thought that you would hide in there forever." At that instant, an icy voice could be heard. Lin Xian frowned and looked to the side. There were 3 people, Yan Hua and the old man. There was also a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man's aura was even stronger. "Oh, what's wrong? Are you here to give me a storage ring? This time, it won't be as simple as breaking your arms. Damn it, do you want to die?" Yan Hu recalled how the other party had broken his arms, forced him to kneel, and even gave away his storage ring. He was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He said, "Sixth uncle, it's this detestable brat. You must help me teach him a lesson." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll test out my current strength." Lin Xian walked out and looked at the middle-aged man. He said, "You want to attack me?" You can't afford it. I heard that a very arrogant battle servant had come to the 1,000 Mountain Cave. Today, I want to see what makes you so arrogant. Yan Hua was also angry. He took a step forward, and an extremely cold light appeared in his hand. It was as if there were billions of rays of light. His palm transformed into a demonic dragon that swept forward like a mountain range. The demonic dragon bared its fangs and claws and charged toward Lin Xian. It had to be said that Yan Hua's strength was much stronger than Yan Hua and the other two. He was also a terrifying existence in the early stage of the Saint King realm. His strength had increased greatly after this closed-door cultivation. Therefore, he was very confident that he could kill Lin Xian with one blow. Buzz! A ray of sword qi appeared in Lin Xian's hand. The sun sword slashed forward. It collided with the opponent's palm. Suddenly, the surrounding mountains shook violently. Countless formations flickered in and out of existence. After the blow, Lin Xian was as steady as Mount Tai. On the opposite side, the middle-aged man's face was completely ugly. He felt that his entire arm was numb. He could block Sixth Uncle's blow. Yan, whose eyes almost popped out. He knew how terrifying his sixth uncle was. No one in the younger generation could compete with him. But this kid blocked all of his attacks. Sixth uncle, this kid has some kind of super strong body refining technique. Don't fight him in close combat, Yan Ho reminded him. Sixth uncle nodded after hearing this. So that's why you're so arrogant. But you're too naive. No matter how strong you are, you can't compete with a real Saint King. Watch me kill you with my magical power. He stretched out his hand again and kept forming seals. Countless laws condensed and formed a huge seal. Giant rock palm. As soon as it was slapped out, the surroundings were petrified. This guy was a rock element expert. The whole sky seemed to have turned into a cage and pressed down. Open for me. Lin Xian roared and took a step forward. The invincible sword was slashed out by him. His hands opened and closed, and the divine fire turned into a sword shadow with the power to split heaven and earth. Boom, boom, boom. The rock streaked across the sky and cracks appeared. Then it was torn apart. The invincible sword fell. Sixth uncle's pupils constricted, and he threw out 2 shields to block. He blocked the invincible sword. However, at this moment, the invincible sword attacked again. This was also a terrifying magical power that was not weaker than the man-ruler seal. With a single blow, the opponent was sent flying. The armor on Sixth Uncle's body was shattered, and a crack appeared, almost splitting him in half. He couldn't believe it. Yan, who was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. His sixth uncle was defeated too? Thinking of this, he kept retreating, trying to escape. Lin Xian sneered. He stomped his foot and activated the 10 ultimate sword formation, sealing the surroundings. You want to escape now? I said, take my wrath. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? At this moment, Sixth Uncle rushed out. His whole body turned into rock, and there were even flames burning on his body. He formed a flaming rock giant that was incomparably powerful. Soaring flaming rock fist. This was his famous consummate skill, and no one of the same level could block it. Buzz! Lin Xian waved his arm and threw out the mountain-embracing seal. A primordial demon mountain fell from the sky as if it was going to crush the heavens. The terrifying fist was blocked, and then cracks appeared on his arm. Sixth Uncle's body shook violently, and then it kept shattering. He finally couldn't resist under the primordial demon mountain. Lin Xian threw out the mountain-embracing seal again, and the 2 primordial demon mountains completely suppressed his opponent. His strength is not bad, but that's all, Lin Xian said indifferently. He turned his gaze and looked at Yan Hua. Yan, who almost knelt down, he said in horror, "What are you trying to do? Kid, I'm warning you, don't attack me. Otherwise, our patriarch won't spare you." Chapter 4481. Now that you know how to be afraid, you still dare to threaten me? I already said that if you attack me again, I won't just cripple your arms. I will cripple you. What? Yan Hu was alarmed, and he quickly went to ask the elders for help. Xueqi wanted to cripple him, which was even more terrifying than killing him. The old servant wanted to retreat and ask for help. Xueqi waved her hand, and frost filled the sky and sealed the old servant in ice. The old servant's eyes widened. He was also a Saint King expert, but he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Xueqi. The 10 Ju swords appeared in Lin Xian's hand, and they pierced through the old man's body. The great dragon sword soul's power roared, and it shattered the old man's laws and power. Yan He roared, and despair appeared on his face. He felt that his power had instantly disappeared. No, he had gone crazy. Lin Xian waved his hand and unleashed a seal to seal the other party. Then he threw him into the great sage tower. In the next instant, he crippled Yan Hua and sealed him again. As for the old servant, he directly killed him and turned him into a bloody mist. Then he burned him with the 9 suns' divine flame. "Husband, what do you plan to do with these 2 people?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian said that he would talk about it after they returned. He waved his hand and removed the formation, and the 2 of them walked outside. They went to the foot of the mountain. The 3 elders guarding the mountain were stunned. Why did this guy come out? Did Yan He not go to cause trouble for this guy? Although they were confused, they had to remove the seal and let the 2 of them leave safely. After they returned, they went to Xueqi's residence. Xueqi said that if they killed them, the Holy Heaven's old ancestor would know about it, and it would be very troublesome. Lin Xian nodded. He said that he didn't plan to kill them, and that he would go out in 2 days and find an uninhabited mountain range to suppress them for several thousand years. No one would be able to find them. "Do you want to go out?" Xueqi asked. Lin Xian nodded and took out a map from his storage ring. The map was emitting a faint radiance at this moment. He had snatched this map from the Purple Spirit Wonderland's people. The fragment of the map had been sitting quietly in his storage ring. In the past few days he had begun to shine. Lin Xian guessed that something must have happened to the place marked on the map. Therefore he was prepared to investigate. But before that, Lin Xian still had some things to do. "Xueqi, tell me more about the Stellar Saints," he said. Xueqi nodded. She said that Star Saint King was a member of the Star Clan. However, his status in the clan wasn't high, so he could only stay in the heavenly abode. However, in the paradise his status was not low. He was an elder, and his cultivation had reached the middle stage of Holy Venerate. It was said that he would soon reach the late stage. "Are you going to attack him?" She also knew that it was the sacred star monarch who had captured Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "That's right, this guy dared to injure my senior brother, and even dared to steal the peerless sword. I'll deal with him myself sooner or later." However, now was not the time. Indeed, although Lin Xian had reached the peak of Holy Venerate, the sacred star monarch was not simple. He was an extremely terrifying existence in the middle stage of Holy King realm, and he was even about to break through. Therefore, Lin Xian felt that it was best to break through and become a half-step Holy King before dealing with this guy. "You said that he had 3 disciples?" Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. "Then I let him know what it feels like to have his disciples captured." "I know." Xueqi ordered someone to call the 3 disciples over. Half a day later, the 3 people arrived. They stood in front of the main hall with puzzled expressions. They didn't know why Princess Xueqi was looking for them. After waiting for half a day, Xueqi didn't appear. However, a young man walked in. They frowned. They naturally knew this guy. It was Lin Xian. The second disciple asked, "Boy, where is Princess Xueqi? Why is she looking for us?" "Hurry up and tell Princess Xueqi that we are here," the third disciple said proudly. Lin Xian glanced at the 3 people before he sat down boldly. "You don't need to wait. Princess Xueqi won't see you. It's me who is looking for you." "You?" The 3 disciples were taken aback. The eldest disciple asked, "Why are you looking for us?" "What is it?" Lin Xian sneered. You came to Princess Xueqi's residence without permission. How dare you? Kneel down and accept your death." The three people's expressions changed. The eldest disciple said, "Hateful. We were invited here." "Who can prove that?" Lin Xian stood up, and a cold killing intent emanated from his body. The second disciple said, "Boy, you want to take revenge, right? Our teacher captured you and made you a battle servant. Do you bear a grudge against him?" Lin Xian nodded. "That's right. Doesn't the Star Holy King like to go around suppressing people? I will let him know what it feels like to have his disciples suppressed. You are courting death. Attack!" The three people shouted angrily. They naturally knew that they had to leave this place quickly. The three people's speed was very fast. They didn't escape, but charged directly at Lin Xian. One of them struck out with his palms, which were like two mountains. Another person struck out a black hole, which enveloped Lin Xian. The third person formed a seal with his palms, and a terrible storm tore the void into pieces. The eldest disciple, who was the strongest among the three, was already at the beginner stage of the Holy King realm. The other two were half-step Holy Kings. The three of them attacked together, and the momentum was shocking. The place where Lin Xian was completely shattered. The three people looked at this scene and laughed proudly. "What peerless genius! I think he's just SOO. Let's go." The three of them turned around and were about to leave. However, at this time, they realized that a figure had appeared in front of them, blocking their way. How is this possible? The three people's expressions changed drastically. "Isn't that the boy?" They suddenly turned around and looked at the shattered void. Cold sweat flowed down their backs. That terrifying attack just now didn't hurt him at all. How did he dodge it? Mountain embracing seal. Lin Xian waved his hand, and an ancient mountain directly fell from the sky, pressing down on the three people. "Damn it!" The three people roared. Eldest senior brother struck out with his palms, which were vast and could sweep away everything. However, in front of the ancient mountain, his arms were instantly broken. The other two half-step Holy Kings couldn't withstand it, and their bodies instantly turned into a bloody mist. The three people were completely suppressed. "Damn boy, let us go. Believe it or not, when my master comes, he'll tear you into pieces." The three people roared. Lin Xian looked at the three people and sneered. "Don't worry. Your master will be here soon." He stood up and said in a clear voice, "Someone, go and tell Star Saint King to come and get his disciple." Soon, a figure rose into the air. Not long after, a roar was heard. This was too much. Star Saint King, carrying the supreme power of the stars, descended from the sky. He strode over. When he saw that his three disciples were suppressed and seriously injured, his eyes instantly turned red with anger. Chapter 4482. "Kid, let go of my disciples. Don't you just want to take revenge? Fight me if you have the ability. Don't worry, it will be your turn soon." Lin Xian looked at the other party, his eyes filled with killing intent. "I can't let go of your three disciples. They trespassed into Princess Xueqi's residence, so I've decided to cripple them." "How dare you?" Sacred King Xing, Qin roared. Lin Xian waved his hand. "Why wouldn't I dare?" The mountain-embracing seal exploded, completely crippling the three of them. The three of them fell to the ground and became crippled. "Ah!" The three of them roared, their eyes filled with despair. "Master, kill him. Avenge us." "Yes, we must tear him into pieces." Sacred King Xing Chen's eyes instantly turned red. It wasn't easy for him to nurture these three disciples, especially his eldest disciple, who was already a sacred king. His future achievements were limitless, but now they were crippled just like that. "You're courting death." Countless stars appeared on Sacred King Xing Chen's body, and a terrifying killing intent swept out. Lin Xian took out the Xiantian token. He said, "Can you bear the anger of the Xiantian pavilion if you attack me?" Sacred King Xing Chen's face became even uglier, but he didn't act rashly. He was so angry. If he didn't have the Xiantian ridge, he would definitely be able to kill Lin Xian with a slap. He snorted, gritted his teeth, and said, "Do you think the Xiantian token can protect you forever? This time you challenged me first. Even if I attack you, the Xiantian pavilion won't say anything." "Is that so? You can try." Lin Xian didn't care at all. At this time, Xueqi also walked out from the side. She said coldly, "Elder Xingqian, you've gone too far. Your 3 disciples came here without my permission. They deserve to be crippled. As for you, you didn't discipline your disciples well. How should you be punished?" Sacred King Xing Chen's face became even uglier when he saw Xueqi walk out. He knew that if he didn't pay a price today, he wouldn't be able to walk out of here alive. Therefore, he said, "It's my fault for not teaching you well, and I'm willing to accept the punishment." Xueqi nodded and said, "Men, take the lightning code and execute the lightning punishment." Very quickly, someone respectfully took out a grimoire. It was surrounded by lightning. Clearly, it was a terrifying treasure. After Xueqi took it, she let Lei Jian float in the air and said, "Xingqian Elder, accept the lightning punishment." The sacred king of stars knelt on the ground, his back facing the thunder tome. As for Xueqi, she looked at Lin Xian and said, "There are 360 strikes in total. You can execute them personally." Lin Xian nodded. He used the law of thunder. The thunder tome shone brightly and lightning flew out. Every strike was extremely terrifying. Even a saint king could not withstand it and could only allow the lightning to strike. What kind of existence is Ethereal Peak? Is such an ant worthy of us taking action? Some geniuses were disdainful. However, there were also people who said, "You don't know. This guy is the guy who defeated Xingqian in Thousand Mountain Cave." They thought that the Star Tribe issued this mission because of Xingqian. So it was this guy. Some people nodded and came to a realization. In this way, it could be explained. Although this guy was a late-stage Saint Venerable, his strength was equivalent to a Saint King. To be able to defeat Xingqian, he had some strength. However, I am not interested. Most people shook their heads. There were also some people who had the idea but did not dare to go. After all, Xingqian's strength in Ethereal Peak was not bad. Since he was defeated, what was the point of others who were weaker than Xingqian going? In the end, 3 people accepted the mission. These 3 were extremely terrifying experts. Their strength was above Xingqian's. When Xingqian saw the 3 people accepting the mission, he nodded his head. However, he still frowned. "Is this okay? I don't want this guy to escape again." An elder at the side laughed. "He is just a young man. No matter how strong he is just an ant in front of Ethereal Peak. The reason for this mission is to train the people of the Ethereal Peak. Moreover, we will also send a middle stage Saint King to guard him. Even if the first 3 fail, he won't be able to escape." At this moment, a ring on the elder's hand shone. The last array formation appeared and a message came from it. "There is news from Thousand Mountain Cave. The guy has left the cave. We have also started to move." The 3 experts who accepted the mission got the order and started to move. Chapter 4483. At the same time, a mid-stage holy king from the Star Tribe also tore open the void and prepared to leave. On the other side, Lin Xian stealthily left the Thousand Mountain Cave and flew at a high speed. He sat on the black earth and turned into a stream of light, shuttling through the void. After walking for about 2 days, he frowned. He felt a pair of eyes staring at him. Someone was coming. He knew that Holy King Xingqian would definitely not let it go. He wondered if it was someone from the Heavenly Cave or Misty Peak. He hoped that person's strength would not disappoint him. Looking at the mountains below, his figure flashed and he landed in the mountain range. After entering, Lin Xian killed a demon beast and began to make delicious food. Little White also jumped out and picked some spirit fruits in the surroundings, eating happily. The two of them did not seem to know that danger was coming. At this moment, the surrounding forest became oppressive. Countless gusts of wind swept through. An entire sky was about to press down. A figure appeared on top of a large tree and looked down. Ants were ants. They did not even know that they were about to die. A cold voice came from above. "Is he here?" Lin Xian glanced at the other party and said indifferently, "Tell me your name." "I don't kill nameless people." "I am Holy King Barbarian Spirit." A tall figure descended, and the ground cracked open, spreading in all directions. This person's physique was very terrifying. It emitted a metallic luster as if it was made of precious metal. There were endless lines on it. His voice was like thunder, causing the void to tremble. When Lin Xian was sizing up the other party, Holy King Barbarian Spirit was also sizing up Lin Xian. As expected, he was a holy king. "I really don't understand. How did you defeat Xingqian? Kneel down now, and I'll give you a quick death. You don't have the right to say such words in front of me." Lin Xian shook his head and said, "Do you need me to give you a hand decap of one hand?" "Kid, you're more arrogant than I thought. However, the consequences of angering me will be very miserable." Buzz. Before he finished speaking, Barbarian Spirit turned into a bolt of lightning and charged over. It seemed that he wanted to fight Lin Xian in close combat. As the palm fell, it was surrounded by divine chains of laws. The void was torn apart in an instant. Hundreds of black holes were formed, trying to devour Lin Xian. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He punched out and transformed into a golden crow. Boom! A loud sound rang out, shaking heaven and earth. Sacred King Barbarian Spirit was sent flying. His arm was numb, and his body felt like it was about to split open. His eyes were wide open. What a strong physique! Was he really just a saint? He couldn't believe it. Lin Xian strode over with the man-ruler seal in his hand. "I am indeed a saint venerable. You can't defeat me because you are too weak. If I were Saint King, I could kill you with a single glance. You're courting death. I was just careless just now." Sacred King Barbaric Spirit roared the sky as a terrifying aura erupted from his body. His physique had also become stronger, and his figure had also become taller than before. "I am a berserker spirit, and the power of my bloodline is not something you can imagine. Go to hell, brat." He turned into an even more terrifying streak of radiance, carrying unparalleled power as he slaughtered his way over. So what if he was a berserker spirit? Lin Xian also charged over. The two of them fought in close combat, and the man-ruler seal swept out in all directions. After exchanging 3 blows, Sacred King Barbaric Spirit was sent flying and spat out blood. Cracks appeared on his body, and he kept swaying. Damn it, how is this possible? His eyes instantly turned red. No one had ever dared to compete with him in terms of physique. A saint venerable had injured him. He couldn't believe it. "What kind of physique did you cultivate?" "Fine, I'll let you know before you die. I cultivate the Divine Nine-Young Body." The Divine Nine-Young Body. It was one of the legendary super physiques in the galaxy. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's eyes instantly turned red. This was the legendary physique. He didn't expect this brat to have it. "You're just a battle servant. How can you have such a peerless divine physique? Give me the cultivation method of the Divine Nine-Young Body, and I can spare your life." He was really envious. He was about to go crazy. Although he was a berserker spirit and had a strong physique, however, it was still incomparable to this legendary physique. if he could obtain the cultivation method of the divine Nine-Yang body, who would be his match in close combat in the future. With just you want to have ideas about the Nine-Yang divine body? Lin Xian smiled. The reason why I told you about my physique is because I know that you will definitely die. If he wasn't confident, Lin Xian wouldn't have revealed his secret. Divine fire continued to spread on his body, and he turned into a golden god of war. Crack! It seemed that he had to use some real methods. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit also activated his bloodline and took out a mace from his storage ring. It was as big as a mountain. Boom! This attack was like a mountain. The sky and earth directly collapsed. No one could escape. However, at this moment, Lin Xian also struck out with the mountain-embracing seal. Descending from the sky, an immemorial demonic mountain directly pressed down. The mace instantly bent, and with a cracking sound it shattered. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit was forced back and vomited blood. Damn it, his physique was so strong, and he also knew a peerless divine ability. He knew that he was no match for him and wanted to retreat. Lin Xian stomped his foot and charged forward. You still want to leave now? He struck out with the man-ruler seal again, like a god descending. Get lost. As Sacred King Barbaric Spirit retreated, he stretched out his hand and threw the surrounding mountains over. Dozens of mountains fell from the sky, causing the entire world to turn dark. Invincible sword. A sword light flashed and split the world in half. Huge rocks fell from the sky. A crack appeared between Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's brows, and then his body was split in half. He let out a painful roar. Damn it! How could his opponent's sword chi be so terrifying? Barbaric Spirit, secret technique. His body quickly healed, and then he roared. Endless blood-red runes appeared on his body and burned quickly. Then a soul phantom appeared. This was not a soul attack, but an ancestor phantom formed by his bloodline. It was a battle spirit between heaven and earth. With a giant axe in hand, it charged forward. Let's see how you fight. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit sneered. With his family's secret technique, he could fight against someone more terrifying than him. The attack fell with an incomparably huge pressure. This attack seemed to be able to split Lin Xian in half. Lin Xian struck out with the undying sword. At the same time, the mountain-embracing seal and the man-ruler seal attacked together. With a bang, the battle spirit was torn into pieces. Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's body was shattered again. He became terrified. Don't kill me. I'm just here to accept the mission. He was finally afraid. He had used his strongest secret technique, but he still couldn't kill his opponent. This time, other than me, there are two people who accepted the mission. They are stronger than me. Let me go and I'll tell you who they are. I don't need to know who they are. Anyone who dares to kill me will go to hell. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he walked over. A sword shadow appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward, destroying Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's body and soul. After taking Sacred King Barbaric Spirit's storage ring, Lin Xian soared into the sky and left this place. Half a day later, a figure descended from the sky and floated in midair. He was wearing a white robe that was spotless. 3 flying swords circled around him, making him look like a sword immortal. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.